Well, good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are. This is the SCA quarterly meeting for April the 18th, 2021. That's the right date. My name is Dan Watson. I'm the chairman of the board, and I'm happy to see, Rusty, how many do we have? 50, 51, 52 people here?
55 so far, sir.
55. That's a really good um, uh, participation by the folks out there. We're happy to have you here. This is the second time we've run a board meeting via webinar. This is a little bit of a new experience for us, but we're really happy to do this, and we're glad to sort of get out there. It's very exciting for us. This is a really large production to put together. We've got 21, 22 staff people here, people that are either board members or officers in society, and a lot of organization and preparation in terms of getting ready for all of us to be here today. So I'd like to start off just by going down the list and having everyone introduce themselves so you know who's here. And if you are in one of the kingdoms, hopefully you can pick out who your ombudsperson is as we go through the list. So Rusty, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Thank you, Dan. My name is Rusty Lloyd. I have the honor of running IT for the society.
Bonnie?
Hi, I'm Bonnie Stringer. I live in Glen Avon. Go Rams. I'm the Society Exchequer, and I'm known as Baroness Marcel Aurelian, and I am a Pelican.
Hi, everybody. My name is Craig Carter. I'm a director. I'm ombudsman for Kaid, West, Kingdom of the East, the Heralds, and the Census Committee. I've been on the board for a few years now, and I am scheduled to drop off in the October meeting, but I'll definitely miss all the smiling faces on the call today.
Hello, everyone. I am Dale Fong Frederick. I am the baby member of the board. Within the SCA, I am known as Jabril Aldakel. I am a knight in the East Kingdom.
Again, I'm Dan Watson. I'm the board chairman right now. This is my first meeting that I'm running. I'm really petrified at sitting in this chair. I'm a knight, a pelican, and a laurel in the society. My name is Bartholomew Hightower, and I live in the Kingdom of Artemisia.
Hi, I'm Darcy O'Neill. I'm the editor of Tournaments Illuminated, much better known as Riordan McGregor. I'm a member of the Order of the Pelican. I live in the Kingdom of Kaid, and right now I'm extremely backlit. So no, it's not your computer. You can't see me very clearly. I think that's everything.
I did this while teaching too. Sorry, I am Ellen Rawson, and I am the editor of Complete Anachronist. In the SCA, I am Ariel Lindisfarne. I'm a pelican, and I live in the Kingdom of Drachenwald.
Hi, I'm Gigi Colson. I split my time between Antir and Glenavon. Go Rams, go Lions. In the society, I'm known as Maestra Jada. And on the board, I'm ombudsman for Fulmark, Avakal, Drachenwald, Lakac, Eldemir, DEI, and Social Media Committee.
Hello, I am Jennifer Krochmal. I am the newest director on the board. I live in the Kingdom of Atlantia, and in the Kingdom of Atlantia, I am known as Duchess Kalisa Alexandrovna. I am a pelican, and I am ombudsman for the kingdoms of Callantyr, North Shield, Outlands, IT, and Communications Committee.
Hi, I'm Jessica Van Haddam. I'm the DEI officer for the corporate level. My name is Zara in the game itself, and I live in the Midrealm.
Hi, everybody. I am John Fulton. I am the president of the SCA Inc. In the society, I am known as Duke John the Bear Killer. I am a knight and a pelican, and I reside in Glen Avon. Go Rams.
Hello, everybody. I am John St. Denis. In the Society, I'm Zorkan Dracontius. I'm a Pelican. I am currently serving as Ombudsman for Antir, Anstiora, Glenaban, and Trimaris. I live in the West, but mostly play in the East and Kaid, and this is my last board meeting.
Hi, everyone. I am KT Shepard. I go by Shep. I am the Emergency Replacement Deputy for the Society Seneschal. In the SCA, I am Graf Ulrich von Brandenburg, and I am a Knight and a Pelican, and I live in Meridies.
Hi, I'm Leslie Luther Fulton. I'm the Executive Assistant to the Board. In the SCA, I'm Countess Jane Fowler of Inglewood, and I am from Glenaban.
Hi, I'm Liz Strayer, and I am the Society Seneschal. In the SCA, I am known as Eliset Inindirmata, and I live in the Kingdom of Callantyr, and for rank purposes, I guess I'm a Pelican.
Hi, I'm Mazalatia. I am the Corporate Treasurer. I am a Laurel and a Pelican. My SCA name is Alicia Gabrielle de Fischer, and I live in the Kingdom of Glenaban. Go Rams!
Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Degerstrom, and I am the current Vice Chair for the Board of Directors. I live in the East Kingdom, where I am known as Saruka bint Lazari, and I am the Ombudsman for Meridies, Middle Kingdom, and Atlantia, and as well as the Membership Committee.
Hi, I'm Patrick Anderson. I'm legal counsel in Northfield. I'm known as Baron Gabriel of Nordskogen.
Hello, I'm Ray Dubos. I'm the Society Marshal in the SCA. I'm known as Count Ray Rebelmont. I'm both a Knight and a Pelican, and I reside in Anstiora currently.
Good morning. I'm Renee Signorati. I'm the Vice President of Corporate Operations, coming from the office.
Hey everyone, I'm Ross Regner, which the board is the only place on the planet I go by Ross because there was already a Bart here when I got here. We have a rare confluence of Barts. In the SCA, I'm also known as Bart, Count Bart from Meridies, and I'm the Ombudsman for Artemisia, Aitenbelt, Arts and Sciences, and Publications. And personally, I think Dan has nothing to worry about. He's going to do a great job.
Oh, well, thank you, Ross. I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for your introductions. Just one final note. Those of you that are listening, if you have a question that you'd like to ask, please just go ahead and type it in the chat. We are going to try to get to those as we get toward the end of the meeting. We may have a short break before we start handling the questions, but I'll put them down there and we'll be tracking them. Okay, so I would entertain at this time a motion to open the meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we open this quarterly meeting of this SCA Board of Directors, accept the agenda as presented, and take agenda items out of order as necessary.
Second.
And by consensus, we will start the meeting, and let's go toward the approval of minutes. Leslie. Ooh, you're muted, Leslie. That didn't take long.
Sorry. I did good yesterday. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to present the January 24th, 2021 quarterly meeting minutes, the March 2nd, 2021 conference call meeting minutes, and the March 23rd, 2021 conference call meeting minutes for your approval.
Thank you. And just as a note to the people watching, the board has had these minutes for some weeks and has had a chance to go over them and look through them. So can we have a motion to accept these minutes, please?
Mr. Chairman. Go ahead, Ross.
I move that we approve the January 24th, 2021 quarterly meeting minutes, as well as the March 2nd, 2021 quarterly conference call minutes, as well as the March 23rd conference call minutes as presented.
Second the motion.
So motion by Director Regner, seconded by Director St. Denis. All those in favor? Any opposed? And any abstentions? Minutes have been approved. Okay, so Next on the agenda is recurring business. Liz, I think this is you, starting with the status changes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like the board to take note of 3 new groups that have moved from incipient to full. We have the Shire of Trivium, which is the country of Belgium in Drachenwald, going to full shire from incipient shire. We have in Ontier the Canton of Caledfort, I hope I'm saying that right, which is Grays Harbor County, Washington. It's going to full canton from incipient canton, and it's attached to the barony of Glenmere. And then from Locock, we have the Shire of Strathcorby, which is the Northern Riverina region of New South Wales. That's going to full shire from incipient shire. I'd like the board to take note of those status changes.
Those changes are noted.
And then I have 2 dissolutions that I need for the board to approve. That specifically requires board approval. In Ethelmark, the Shire of River's Edge, which is Crawford County, Pennsylvania, according to the Kingdom Seneschal, they went into dormancy well over a year ago due to lack of activity and lack of membership numbers. And the Kingdom has attempted to inquire whether they wanted to have more time to rebuild, and nobody answered. So she's requesting that they be dissolved for lack of membership, lack of interest. And the second one is the College of Brimstone, which is the University of Arizona at Tempe. And according to the Seneschal of Atenveldt, there's been no activity or communication from this college group for over 3 years. So at this point, rather than keep it in dormancy, the Kingdom wants to go ahead and dissolve the group. So I would ask the board to approve those 2 dissolutions, please.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve these.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the dissolution of the Shire of River's Edge and Ethelmark and the College of Brimstone and Atenveldt as presented by the Society Seneschal.
Second.
So motion by Director Colson, second by Director St. Dennis. All those in favor of this, please signify by saying aye and raising hand.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Well, with sadness, we approve the dissolution of the Shire of River's Edge and the College of Brimstone. Okay, Liz, do you have anything further at this time?
Not in this section, no.
Okay, next is on the agenda is the quarterly meeting schedule. Renee, I think that's yours.
It is. The next meeting is July 18th, the next quarterly board meeting, July 18th. The board report deadline is July 1st. I'd like to remind everybody that the deadline for all quarterly meetings is the 1st of that month. So and then October 24th is the next scheduled virtual board meeting. In July, I think we'll discuss what the board would like to do as things open up as far as travel goes. For now, everything is virtual. And then the conference call is scheduled for June 1st. And it just dawned on me, would you like to change that to maybe the week before we open up? We could discuss it online if you want, but right now it's tentatively scheduled for June 1st.
You're talking about the conference call?
Correct, the quarterly conference call.
We have a little time here. Anybody have any opinion on this?
I think it might not be a bad idea to move it up a little bit, given the impending opening.
Yeah.
I concur. That weekend would be a pretty good time. The weekend preceding it would be a pretty good time.
So we're talking about May the 29th, or do you want to go to, well, we usually have it on Tuesday nights, don't we?
Yeah, but I mean, you can pick. That's
Let's agree. I think it does make sense to do it beforehand, but let's take it offline and discuss actual dates and times.
We can. Okay. Plenty of time. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. So also just to reiterate, in the virtual meetings that all the corporate officers are invited to be panelists for these meetings. We have many of them here today. And if you're listening and you are a corporate officer and you'd like to come and present your report, we most certainly would love to see that. Okay, Leslie, warrants. Do we have any warrants, or are we going to take that offline later?
The Society Exchequer had one warrant for her deputy for PayPal, was it? No, it wasn't. Hang on. I've got it right here, or she can tell you. But I'll be
NMR deputy.
right. Okay, non-member service charges. I think my camera went off. Anyway, I will be sending that out later for the board to look at online.
Okay. So under ongoing projects, we have board recruiting. Natalie?
Thank you. Today marks one of our 2 yearly step downs and step ups. Those happen in April and October. We have John St. Dennis, as stated, this is his last meeting. We will be greatly missing him, and Dale will be stepping up into his slot. So we will be actively interviewing folks over the next couple months so that we can select someone who can step up in October, with the intention of giving them some training time to work with us ahead of time. We're hoping to have them available to attend the July board meeting. So please, this is my plug. If you are interested, if you know someone who you think would be amazing, please nominate them because we are about to start actively interviewing. Thank you.
And along with that, thank you, Natalie. Along with that, Leslie, do you have something on board representation at this time?
Just a brief notice that you've received an invitation from the staff of War of the Wings, and it's my understanding that that will be discussed later because there is currently a moratorium on travel.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else under recurring business? Anybody? Okay, well, let's move on to old business. First, we have SCA social media policy. Bridget, are you here with us today? I didn't see her in the.
No, she's not with us today.
She is not. It is my understanding that the policy was the policy presented for this meeting, because I read a report and it said it was.
Yes, it was.
She must have updated her report. Well then, we talked about this briefly yesterday. No one had any problems with it if it is ready to be approved. I know Bridget would recommend that that be done.
And Mr. Chairman, I have a motion if you would like to entertain one.
Please, Director Colson.
I move that we approve the social media policies revision as presented by the social media officer effective April 18th, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion by Director Colson and a second by Director St. Dennis. Discussion. Well, go ahead, Ross.
I'd just like to say that I've seen a great deal of work done by our social media officer, the social media committee, various officers, brought in to help consult on that. It's been a tremendously long time coming, and I know that a ton of effort has gone into it. There's not really much left to discuss because we've had, iterative meetings, refining it and refining it and refining it. And I think that Bridget's work on this was really commendable. She herded a lot of cats, and Director Colson, you did a fantastic job as well on all of the preliminary work. I think that it's going to give us a really strong series of rules for social media use, which is something that many hobbies like ours are going to have to start grappling with. And it's an unfortunate reality of today's technology. But I think having guidelines and written rules is an effective way to help our membership get enjoyment out of the game online. And so I think excellent job all around. I'm really looking forward to seeing these rules implemented. Thank you.
Okay, Chair recognizes Renee Signorati.
Thanks, Dan. I just have a quick question. Where is this policy going to live? My standard question.
So we discussed a bit about making sure all of our policies are living in a place that is accessible to our participants and also to our officers. So let's discuss, right now it would be in her handbook, but if you guys want to talk about it living somewhere else, I'm sure she'd be open to
that. John.
Just let everybody know that part about it not being ready, that was me misreading her report. Her handbook will be ready for, I think, the next meeting. And it is her understanding until we finish the intended project to that's ongoing, like Gigi said, to get everything, all of the all of the policies that reside in all of the handbooks in one easy place, the immediate thing after the announcement, and we'll go out with the new policy, hopefully this week. That it will be in her handbook ultimately, but that then we will have it in a common area at some point soon for all of our policies that exist in so many places. Thank you.
But in the meantime, where am I going to, is it just going to be basically an errata to the Seneschal's handbook, or?
Can we talk about this maybe this coming Monday, and we'll see what she wants to do, and and make sure it's in the right place.
Thanks.
Okay, anybody else? Not seeing anyone. Okay, so we have a motion on the table. It's been seconded. No discussion. No more discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Did everybody hear? Any opposed? Please shout out. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, next we have Newcomer's Guide to the SCA. And I can't remember who is taking this one.
I can. In March, at the March conference call meeting, the board of directors looked over a proposed newcomer's handbook, newcomer's guide to the SCA, I mean, not newcomer's handbook. Let me get the terms right. That was presented by the Society Chatelaine. That was prepared by a deputy of hers. And at that time, the board pretty much approved it in principle. You all said you really liked it. You thought it was great. There were a couple of suggested changes which were made. And the only problem was that it needed to go through the process with the publications manager to be formatted in a standard fashion and prepared the way our publications are. My understanding is that it's going to be available on the website and then through the stock clerk. Renee can correct me if I'm got any of that wrong. So at this time, I would ask that the board issue a final approval so that we can move ahead with this. I think that the work done on it was pretty fantastic. So I would ask the board to approve it.
John?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Newcomer's Guide to the SCA as presented.
Second.
So we have a motion to approve by Director St. Dennis, seconded by Director Krochmal. Any discussion on this? Okay, let's move to a vote. All those in favor? John? Oh, there you go. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, next on the list we have under old business, the 2020 census. I don't see Julia on here, so I'm going to take this one. As many of you are aware, we last year, actually around this time, we launched the SCA 2020 census. We had open and took a long time working with it to make sure that we had the data anonymized, to make sure we weren't releasing anything that was going to identify people. We had a preliminary report that was released last October. And this time around, we've got the full release of all three parts of the census and what the responses were. And so we'll be asking, the Census Committee will be asking at this meeting to approve these three reports so that they can be posted on the SCA website. We're getting some feedback from someone. If you're not talking, make sure your mic is muted. There we go. Thank you very much. So we're going to be looking to approve these three parts of the census report. And these are just a graphic and by the numbers responses to all the questions that were on the report. So can we have a motion to approve these, then we'll move to discussion? Anybody?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the 2020 census for presentation to the membership as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by John St. Dennis and a second by Director Colson. Any discussion on this? Well,
I know that
I
many
actually have a
people
little
are waiting
discussion.
to hear the results. And I'm just so proud of you guys and all the work that you've done on getting this together and put into a presentation so our membership and our participants can learn about who else is in our society.
Yep, and I have a comment actually, and I'd like to second that, Gigi. The people that worked on this, we kept them sort of at arm's length from any of the other groups in the SCA so that they could work on this independently and have a little bit of lead in forming the questions and coming up with the answers. Well, coming up with with reporting the answers, sorry. They've done a tremendous job. It's a lot of work to put something like this together and to pull it off. It's just a tremendous amount. It's a pleasure working with all of these people. One of the things that I noticed, and which a couple of other directors noticed going through this, just referring to some of the discussion we've had via email, is that there are a few tables that are in there that are a little difficult to understand. I think one of them was called the overall matrix scorecard. Is that the one that was causing some difficulty?
Yes, it was, as a matter of fact.
So I'm going to ask that some additional commentary be added to the report just to explain what those are, so that when it goes out to the participants, they can have a better idea of what's there. So I would ask for that before it goes out. Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of releasing these for publication on the SCA website and other places, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Well, the motion carries. Thank you again to the Census Committee, and we'll be looking forward to seeing some analytical results that are going to be coming out in the midterm future. Okay, next, that is all of the old business. Under new business, we have COVID-19 variances. Liz, you're going to take the lead on this one.
Okay, yeah, settle in because there are quite a few of these. I just want to give an explanation for the audience that while the board's having temporarily shut down events lessened the need for kingdoms to constantly be putting in variances for things like our reign is going to have to be extended. Anything that's covered in their kingdom law or things that didn't get announced in some kind of court that are supposed to be, or things like that, still required a variance. And that's picking up as we get towards spring, obviously. So let me start going through these. First one is from Trimaris. They had a variance to hold a pandemic tournament in the format of regional fighter practices rather than just strictly local. They were going to end up with a couple of people from various places in the kingdom fighting up. They had standards that met their basic kingdom plan for it. So I granted that variance. I'm asking the board to, actually, how do you want me to do this? We want to do these one at a time, right, for the minutes?
Yeah, we have to do them one at a time, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so that's the first one, Trimaris. Variance to hold their pandemic tournament in the format of some regional fighter practices with a tourney-type outcome.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of Trimaris by the Society Seneschal on March 5th, 2021, allowing for the holding of a pandemic tournament.
Second.
So we have a motion by Director St. Dennis, second by Director Krochmal. Any discussion? Yes, Ross.
I, for one, just would like to point out that I thought the way that they did this particular tournament was very clever. It was, I really liked the way that they went about going through having several regions of fighters fight each other in order to qualify for a later tournament. It's good old-fashioned Trimaran ingenuity, and I love it. It's a great way to have have some of our favorite activities and have a spirit of competition while still following their local authorities having jurisdiction over their health guidelines. And so I really appreciate this variance, and I liked what Trimaris was doing there. I yield the floor.
Liz, what's the date of the regional tournaments?
I don't know. It went on for, as I understood it, it went on for a few weeks. You know, they did it one region and then the next region. It was held starting in early March. The variance was requested like the day before because apparently the Kingdom Seneschal didn't realize he needed to ask for a variance, but since it was regional rather than local, he did. So it was during March. Started shortly after March 5th.
That actually brings up another question that I have. Did you want to talk about what the difference is between local and regional, or do you want to say that for a different part of the meeting today?
This is probably where it fits in. So the board proclamations have said that small local gatherings were at the discretion of the Kingdom Seneschal, and the Crown. And my interpretation of small local gatherings has evolved a bit over time, but basically, if you're advertising it somewhere other than your local group's Facebook page, or if you're, it's set up in such a way that you're expecting people from outside of the local group, that's not local anymore. That becomes regional or kingdom, and it's going to require a variance until June 1st. After June 1st, the board has made the decision to allow events of a certain size to happen, so that variance wouldn't be required after that. But the small local things, that's basically not advertised outside your area, not really expected to be attended outside your area. That's essentially the definition. You caught me a little off guard, Dan, so I don't have the verbiage in front of me, but that's off the top of my head.
Well, we're playing with live ammo here, so you gotta be ready to move and roll with the punches. Any other discussion here? All right, so we have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Liz?
Okay, number 2 is from Meridies. Their kingdom law requires that they hold their crown tourney and their kingdom ANS competition in conjunction with each other on Memorial Day weekend. The crown tourney is covered in the board's proclamation about events. However, the kingdom ANS is not. So their variance request was to hold it as a virtual event separate from the eventual crown tourney that they will hold at some point. I think they're planning that for very early June.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of Meridies by the Society Seneschal on March 9th of 2021, allowing the holding of a virtual Kingdom ANS event separate from the eventual Crown tournament at variance with their kingdom law.
Second.
Can I get a second? Thank you.
Motion by Director Degerstrom, second by, was that Director Carter that did that? Okay, got that in. Good job. Discussion.
Makes sense to me. Seems very reasonable.
Okay, not hearing any other discussion. Let's call for a vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next.
Okay, this one's a little bit complicated. East Kingdom law has some really stringent requirements for what they define as consultation on their various polling orders. It requires that in order for the Crown to grant admission to a polling order, it doesn't require that the Crown, go by the results of the polling, but the person has to have appeared on the polling either during the granting Crown's reign or their predecessor's reign. And so this variance allows some specific individuals who polled positive, quote unquote, during the previous to now reign. The East changed reigns in the spring because they had heirs when COVID hit. They changed reigns last spring sometime, or no, I'm sorry, last summer sometime. So things that pulled positive during Queen Margarita's reign to continue to be considered for the awards for a period of time once in-person events resume, even if the reign changes at some point, so it would not technically meet the requirements. The variance request included, I think it was a period of 6 months after events reopen. So that would be, I guess, June, July, or after they start holding events again. And then there were a couple of Canadians, and the border is still closed, so their variance is their part of the variance is 6 months after the Canadian border opens. It's a little complex, but it's basically a way around a very specific provision in their kingdom law. And it seemed reasonable to me, so I granted it.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of the East by the Society of Seneschal on March 15th, 2021, allowing variance to East Kingdom law regarding polling order consultation.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Director Carter, second by Director Colson. Any discussion on this?
I think this is very
Natalie.
reasonable, and I appreciate the kingdom. Oh, sorry, I just started talking. I appreciate.
It's okay.
I appreciate that this kingdom is thinking about the people who have kind of been put on pause. You know, people who've been discussed positively in different councils and circles. They're making sure that those memories are kept, even though we've been on hold for a while because of the pandemic. So, I think this is reasonable.
Natalie?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I was, when I saw the beginning of this variance, I was a little confused as to why it was necessary, and I live in the East Kingdom, but obviously, especially with the Canadian border and other COVID-related issues, it absolutely makes sense.
I forgot to add that they have done, I think they have done some awards via virtual court, but the East Kingdom Seneschal said that these specific individuals were consulted and they wanted to wait for in-person events. So they're also trying to respect the wishes of the people who are to receive the awards.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I would feel the same way.
Okay, anyone else? Let's call for a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Liz.
Okay, the next one's also from the East Kingdom. They had asked for, before we decided about entirely about reopening, they had asked for a variance to hold a crown tourney in July, which is contrary to East Kingdom law. What I did was I granted it with a date range that they could hold it anytime until August 31st. I'm going to add that I'm probably going to issue a blanket variance that kingdoms can hold their crown tourneys or coronations at a point that's suitable to the kingdom with some sort of deadline at the end, like the end of the year, and in order to avoid having 38 different variances that I have to grant for everybody's crown and coronation. But I have not issued that yet, so I went ahead and granted this one.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of the East by the Society of Seneschal on March 25th, 2021, allowing the holding of crown tournament in July.
I'll second.
Is there a second?
But I also have a question.
Well, motion by Director Carter, second by Director Degerstrom. Natalie, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, just quick question. Was there any discussion about the border and a variance about the border, or was there any concern or conversation about the border in regards to crown tourney? Because that is part of East Kingdom law.
My understanding is that they have, they're setting up their crown in terms of doing like regional types of things. And I'm not quite sure what their plan is for if the border isn't open. As far as I know right now, they're hoping that it will be at some point so they can hold it. But I don't know that they've firmed that up yet. That was not exactly part of this variance. It was just the date.
Gotcha. And would you expect a subsequent variance if that were to happen?
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking, Natalie.
Sorry, if the border was not open by their July crown date or whenever they decide to do crown, would they need another variance in that case if the border wasn't open?
My plan at the moment, as I said, is I'm probably going to issue a blanket variance. I'm still working on wording, which is why I don't have it ready yet. that
Yeah,
will
no
say,
worries.
yeah, and then if borders aren't open and kingdoms want to delay beyond whatever the end date is, then they'll need to submit another variance and tell me why. And if it's because of mundane restrictions, it'll be granted.
Okay, that makes sense. I was just curious about the process because I know we have a few kingdoms or 5 kingdoms in that boat where they're kind of split across borders. So I'm sure it concerns a lot of people. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Let's call for vote. All those in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Liz, next.
Okay, this one is from Atlantia. They asked for a variance to hold a crown tourney on May 1st. They have restricted attendance to, they got letters of intent well in advance. They have restricted attendance to combatants and consorts. I believe she said it was a grand total of 44 people there, plus necessary marshals list personnel, crown, etc. The restriction in North Carolina, where it's going to be held, is no more than 100 people. They're holding it at a private site that they can control. They're just doing crown tourney and that's it. They're not staying overnight. Masks will be required. It meets all of the standards that the board has imposed. Somebody's got to be first. I went ahead and granted this one because I would just as soon it be a kingdom that's being this careful about it. So I asked the board to uphold that variance.
Okay. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of Atlantia by the Society Seneschal on March 5th, allowing the holding of their crown tournament on May 1st of 2021.
Second.
And got a second by, okay, so motion by Director Degerstrom and a second by Director Regner. Any discussion on this? Sounds like they did a great job putting this together. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Liz?
Okay, next one's from Onstiora. They asked for a variance for 10 local people to participate in a one-day local festival as a demo opportunity. It's a mead fest or something like that. I don't have the exact town in Texas in front of me. They are following all of Onstiora's COVID restrictions, including masks and so forth. It's happening sometime later this month. I granted the variance based on those standards.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of Anstiora by the Society Seneschal on March 27th, 2021, allowing for the participation in a demo opportunity for 10 people.
Second?
Second.
Okay, so I see a motion by Director St. Dennis, second by Director Degerstrom. Any discussion on this? It's at a mead fest. How can you say no to that? So all in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Liz?
Okay, because of COVID, some kingdoms have chosen to have virtual courts, some have not. I kind of realized sometime this spring that I didn't have a very good handle on business that was going on. Corpora requires certain things to be announced at a court, officer changeovers being a big one of those. Several kingdoms have had corpora required officer changeovers. So these next two, and he submitted them separately, so it's two different things, come from Calontir. Calontir has not had any virtual courts since COVID. But the first one is a variance. They changed over the Office of Kingdom Seneschal in November without any sort of court announcement. So the variance is to, basically acknowledge that change was legitimate, even though it has not been announced in a court.
Okay, need a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of Calontir by the Society Seneschal on March 28th, 2021, allowing the changeover of the Kingdom Herald's office without court announcement.
No, this was the Seneschal. The Herald is next. Or we can go ahead and do the Herald now and then go back to the Seneschal.
Whichever you prefer. Yes.
Well, the motion dies without a second at this point. You can bring it up. Would you like to state another motion, Jennifer?
Sure. Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of Calontir by the Society Seneschal on March 28th, 2021, allowing the changeover of the Kingdom Seneschal's office without court announcement.
Second.
Motion by Director Crotchmald, second by Director Colson. Any discussion on this? Okay, let's call for a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? And abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, next one's exactly the same kingdom, except it's the Kingdom Herald's office. I'm not sure exactly when that changed over off the top of my head, but at some point they developed a new Kingdom Herald. And again, no courts because they haven't held any courts.
I'll try this again. Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of Calontir by the Society Seneschal on March 28th, 2021, allowing the changeover of the Kingdom Herald's office without court announcement.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by? Second by Director Carter. A discussion on this? All in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5. Any opposed? Natalie, did you oppose that? No, okay, probably just a little lag. Abstentions? Ross, did you vote on that?
My apologies. I wanted to vote in favor of that, but you moved on before I raised my hand.
Okay, all right. Well, motion carries. Liz.
Okay, this next one's out of North Shield. They have a kingdom law that requires one member of each couple competing in a crown tourney to be able to cross the U.S.-Canadian border. At the moment, the border is closed to non-essential travel, so that law can't be enforced at this time. They wanted a variance. As by way of explanation, I believe they are planning a crown tourney in the summer, June or July. They are already had developed a crown list before the COVID shutdown hit. The crown has decided that they are not going to reopen that list. They're going to use the previous list. There was, as I understand it, one combatant who was from Canada. He has said, don't delay the crown tourney on my account. Go ahead and hold it. And so they have they've asked for a variance to that particular law, which I granted until such time as the border is open again for non-essential travel. The minute the border opens for non-essential travel, they're going to have to be able to cross the border. So requesting that the board uphold that variance.
Okay, motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of North Shield by the Society Seneschal on March 29, 2021, putting into temporary abeyance the requirement for entry into crown tournament of one of the 2 prospective royals to be able to cross the U.S.-Canadian border until such time as that border is reopened for non-essential travel.
Okay, second. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so motion by Director Crotchwell, second by Director St. Dennis. I'm just picking one there. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Go ahead, Liz.
Okay. Again, it was there's been some confusion among a few kingdoms and crowns about holding virtual courts and requirements for giving awards during the time of COVID. Originally, my predecessor issued a variance that said, you're going to have to publish this on your kingdom website if you can't get it into the newsletter when you're doing it. Crown of Glenavon did some courts that they held at like fighter practices and things where they gave awards and they weren't published in advance. So the Kingdom Seneschal tracked all those down for me. Also, there were 3 Kingdom Great Officers in Glenavon that had changed without court announcements. So I granted a variance for courts that were held June 14, 2020, October 17, 2020, October 25, 2020, and November 7, 2020. And the 3 great officer changeovers. One of them was Seneschal, one of them was Chronicler. I'm afraid I don't remember what the other one was. With the stipulation that any future awards and things during the pandemic have to occur at properly published virtual courts. The New Kingdom Seneschal is a former director. I believe he will be diligent in making sure this happens going forward. So I would ask the board to grant that variance. I don't want to penalize people who received these awards for, something that was a glitch at the top levels.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of Glenavon by the Society Seneschal on 3/28/21, allowing for the lack of published reporting of the results of several courts and grant officer changeovers.
I'll second that.
So motion by Director St. Dennis, second by Director Colson. Any discussion on this? So Liz, I have a question. So the dates of, there actually were some peerages in these courts elevations, is that correct?
At least one that I know of.
Okay, and so the dates will not change for those will remain the same?
I would expect that they should remain the same in the OP. That's more of a herald thing than a seneschal thing, but that would be my interpretation.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on this? John?
I just want to say thank you to Liz for referring this to a glitch at the top. I think that was a very polite way of saying we could have done much better in following the rules that are published and understood. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Liz?
Okay, next one is from Outlands, very similar to the Callantyr ones. Variance, they did a changeover of their Kingdom Seneschal last fall without a court announcement. I believe, again, that they have not held remote courts during COVID. So I granted a variance for that.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of the Outlands by the Society Seneschal on April 1st, 2021, allowing the changeover of the office of Kingdom Seneschal without court announcement.
A motion by Director Crotchmall. I think Director St. Dennis seconded. Good, okay. And
yes, I did. I was muted.
Getting good at reading lips. Any discussion on this? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? 2, 3, 4. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Liz?
Okay, Eldermere. This is from Eldermere. Eldermere Kingdom law requires their territorial baronages to serve a term of 5 years, no more. Due to the COVID year, Eldermere is requesting a variance to allow current territorial baronages who wish it to extend by up to 1 year. So for a grand total of 6 years. Again, that's, they don't have to, obviously, but if they want to extend due to Eldermere having been pretty much shut down, that's the request.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of Eldermere by the Society Seneschal on April 3rd, 2021, allowing those territorial baronages to request a 1-year extension.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I'm going to go with Director Colson motion and second by Director Crotchmall. Any discussion on this? 6 years, good heavens. That's a long time to be a baron or baroness. Wow. Okay. Anybody? All right. All in favor? Gigi? Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, 6 years. So be it. Next.
Okay, this one's out of Onstiora. It's a variance for the Barony of Northkeep to hold a demo at a Tolkien-themed convention in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The SCA portion of the demo is going to be entirely outdoors. The SCA participants will be limited to a maximum of 20 total over the weekend. They will follow mask requirements as were outlined in the board's most recent proclamation. So I granted that variance for them to do this demo.
Mr. Chairman, I move we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of Anstiora by the Society Seneschal on April 9th, 2021, allowing the holding of a demo at an outdoor location.
Second.
Motion by Director St. Dennis, second by Director Carter. Any discussion on this? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, there you go. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. It's nice. On my video, I've got all the directors sort of grouped in the center there, and so I can see your hands when they pop up. It's great. Liz, next. How many more of these are there? Good heavens.
This is the last one, you'll be glad to know. But thank you all for your forbearance. I expect that there will probably be a bunch for the conference call too, and then maybe they'll start dying off as events open up. This is from the East. It's a variance for the Shire of Black Rose to participate in a limited dance and music demo at a local festival. Again, these festivals are picking up as spring comes on. The festival is entirely outdoors. SCA participants are going to follow mask and social distancing requirements that are laid out by the event planners, which also meet the SCA's standards for that. So I granted that variance.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of the East by the Society Seneschal on 4/9/21, allowing for the participation of it in a local demo by residents of the Shire of Black Rose.
I'll second.
Motion by Director Carter, second by Director Crotchmall. Any discussion on this? All in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. And I think that is all the variances. I just want to say for the people that are watching, I know it's a little cumbersome to go through all of these variances, but they are, these groups are asking for variances to corpora. We take these very seriously. We do look at each one of these to make sure that they're going to fit within what our current circumstances require. And so it's important to look at these. It's also important to bring these up in the meeting so that other groups can see what kinds of things are appropriate for variances. And so if you could potentially take some cues from this also. Okay, next, I've lost my place here. Oh no, we're still in new business. 5B, Principality of Vindheim. This is a proposal, Liz.
Okay, yeah, this is much more interesting and much more rare. The Kingdom of Anstiora has put forth a request for a proposal for a new principality to be called Vindheim. I have basically the requirements for a principality in corpora are at least 100 members, candidates for great officer positions that are acceptable to the kingdom, name and device registered, consensus favoring branch advancement by the members of the proposed principality, record of well-attended events and activities, sufficient members of the peerage, sufficient fighters, and principality law. To summarize the high points of those, their membership as submitted in the application is actually over 400, so they well exceed that. The area they're going to be covering is all of Oklahoma, basically the Texas Panhandle, and an area of north central Texas that is kind of northwest of the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. Their name and device passed. Definitely they have the attendance, the fighters, the activity, and all. The history of this area is long. By way of personal note, my husband and I lived in Fayetteville, Arkansas for a long time in the Kingdom of Calontir, and we frequently traveled to groups in Oklahoma back in the 80s. So they had a lot of, they had a lot of activity and a lot of peerages and so forth in those days even. The Seneschal's Handbook requires that any substantive opposition be addressed. So I asked for an explanation because it was by no means a majority, but there was a reasonable minority of members, particularly in the barony of Namron, that had voted opposed, and the baronage provided a reasonable explanation. Some leftover hard feelings from a long ago attempt, and some people who were maybe hesitant because forming a new principality is going to change things, and change is hard. So they thought some people were hesitant about that. a heavy majority, even of that barony, were in favor of it, about 2/3 of the barony. And across the proposed principality, the polling response was over 85% in favor. That was done in late 2018. I don't have an indication that the sentiment has changed. They submitted the packet first in the summer of 2020, but at that time it wasn't really complete. So I returned it and asked for them to make a more complete submission. They are proposing their first coronet tourney be December 11th, 2021, with an immediate investiture. The packet's very well put together. It has everything in it it needs. It looks like this is a good candidate for a principality with plenty of support. I would request that the board vote to form the principality of Vindheim.
John?
Mr. Chairman, I will defer to Director Carter, as this is his kingdom.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the proposal for creation of a new principality of Vindheim located within the Kingdom of Ostiora as presented within their petition to this board of directors.
Second.
So we have a motion on the table. Leslie, if you could edit out the barks in that motion, just get the English part, that'd be great, with a second. What discussion, is there discussion for this? Director Crotchwell.
A question. What I don't see in the proposal is whether or not a full polling has been done in terms of what the rest of the kingdom, how they feel about this, and if the rest of the kingdom is in favor. And that would be something that I would definitely want to see and know that the whole kingdom is in favor of this proposal.
In our rules, that is covered by basically supporting statements from the Crown and the officers. A polling of the whole kingdom has never been required, so that would not have been done. It's been covered always by, like I said, supporting statements from the Crown and officers, which are in the petition.
Craig.
Yeah, so I actually live on the border of this incipient possible principality in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so we would be past our southern borders. And of course, I've lived in Ostiora for 27 years and played there extensively. I will say that this area, the northern Ostioran area, has had a regional identity for as long as I've been around. They've actually been talking about being a principality for as long as I've been in the SCA. And I will say that they do have their own particular flavor of playing the game. It's really a lot of fun, and it is definitely one that is distinctive to them. I will say that I can't certainly, comment to Director Krogmal's commentary about whether the rest of the kingdom wants it or not, because there's no polling and all that. Generically, I don't think it's widely, looked upon as something that is divisive. Obviously, I believe, and this is just my own opinion, as an Ostioran, as somebody who's kind of, connected to this type of thing at their southern border. I mean, I think that the only hesitancy I've heard is the fact that, Ostiora, like many other kingdoms, is a very patriotic kingdom. People are very happy about being Ostioran and all that. And the only considerations I've heard is that, if you're in Vindheim, you may be a little less Ostioran. I don't think that's the case. I don't think they feel that's the case. I think that as opposed to being, just Ostioran, there'll be Vindheimers or whatever you call someone from Vindheim, as well as being an Ostioran. And I really don't feel that personally. Others may disagree. I'm sure. Personally, I don't see that as being something that is divisive anyway. And I think it would add a nice new flavor, in my opinion, to Ostiora, in that we've never actually had a principality before.
Okay, Ross.
It's my general understanding that principalities, in the history of the SCA have either stayed principalities or eventually become kingdoms in their own right. What is the disposition of the Vindheimers? Are they looking towards this being an intermediate step to becoming their own kingdom, or is it very much we would like to be a sub-region, principality, long-running principality?
Is that a question to me, Bart, or somebody?
Yeah, who's that directed to?
It's directed to you, Craig.
I don't know. I'm not in the Vindheim area. I know there's been a lot of talk and discussion and planning for years, but if I was in Vinheim, I would recuse myself, honestly, because I would be part of that. But since I wasn't part of that process, I really can't answer.
Can I make a comment? My understanding from some of the people I've talked to, including the current Laurel, is that the plan is to remain a principality. I could be wrong, but that's what I understand it at this time.
John?
Yeah. So there's precedent for permanent principalities. We've got how many here in the West? Question mark. It wouldn't be unheard of at all for them to just become a principality and for Vindheim to have their own standards and their own regalia and go their happy way. I think there's a long way between forming a principality and worrying about whether or not they're going to go off to be their own kingdom, and that's a whole separate process that has to be gone through.
Okay,
may I add to that?
Other discussion? Yeah, go
may
ahead,
I
Liz.
add to that? So historically, and going back at least 40 years, whether a principality is ultimately planning on going kingdom or not is not something that really needs to be decided, I think, at the time that they go principality. They can see how things go. And as far as support from the kingdom, well, I'm from Callantyre. I was in Callantyre before it became a principality. Let me tell you a little bit about kingdoms that aren't sure they want their principality, their region to form a principality or their principality to form a kingdom. It worked out in those days. I don't actually, but it's true that it has never been required to do a polling of the whole kingdom. To my knowledge, that's never been a requirement.
Other discussion?
Yeah, one last thing.
We got several here. Let's go with John Fulton. I saw your hand up first.
Yeah, I don't want to bring up decades in the past of what occurred, but it is very rare to not be some disagreement between a kingdom and a principality when one splits off, which is the primary reason you only consult the crown and the kingdom officers to see if a principality can exist as such. They are still definitely under the kingdom, but I've been involved in 4 or 5 of them from when we started with Aitenbelt and Meridies, and there's always going to be disagreement. I've been a participant when different kingdoms split off principalities and became kingdoms. There's always going to be a problem, and we've never actually polled the entire kingdom, primarily because you will probably roil up some of the harder feelings toward, the nationalistic view of a kingdom. But this is not becoming a kingdom. This has become a principality if you approve, and they will still be under the authority, the guiding hand, and ownership of Ansteora. And you might want to think about that. As for becoming a kingdom, they don't have the numbers now. So, that's not even something I would even look at. Thank you.
Okay, last, and I'd like to close discussions pretty quickly, but Jennifer, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I have one additional question, and I don't know if you know the answer, Liz. How does this impact having this break off into a principality? How does that impact the remaining kingdom officers and the ability to fill all of the positions within the kingdom versus the principality offices? Reading the proposal, it looks as though there is sufficient officers present for the principality, but how does it impact the rest of the kingdom?
Craig might know better the distribution of people in Ansteora than I do, but I don't think it's going to affect the kingdom particularly. There's nothing that keeps somebody who lives in the principality from being a kingdom officer. Obviously, they can't do both at the same time, but if somebody who lives in Oklahoma wants to become a kingdom officer in Ansteora, there's absolutely nothing that prevents that. So in that sense, the people in the principality are still part of the kingdom, and they are still eligible for kingdom offices.
Yeah, and just as I think, Jennifer, if you're asking about the pool of people capable of taking on those duties, if there's a sufficient amount of pool to support both. Good. Okay. I will say that the majority of Austrian population lives not in Windheim. Windheim's obviously got more than a people to be a principality, but you have the Houston area, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, and all that are much larger population bases. So I just don't see that being a real significant problem.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would just like to say thank you for answering my curiosity.
Okay, let's move to a vote on this. All those in favor of the motion? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations to the Principality of Windheim. Okay, Liz, 5C, Revised Seneschal Handbook.
Okay, I have during the summer, well, starting when I came on board as Society Seneschal Elect, I started working on a revision to the Seneschal's Handbook. It has been completed. It took several months. I put a draft in front of the board in February. There were a few changes that various people suggested that were mostly adopted. And in March, I sent it to Gloria to fix up for me and format for me and everything. And it's in front of the directors now for a final approval of this revision, please.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
so do we have, thank you.
Mr.
Go ahead,
Chairman,
John.
I move that we accept the revised Seneschal Handbook as presented by Liz Schreier, the Society Seneschal, for approval.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Director St. Dennis, second by Director Colson. Discussion? Again, we've had a lot of time to review this, look over it, give commentary. Bart.
Just for the benefit of the folks joining us who are watching, who have not gotten to see it and read over it and suggest edits and all that, Liz, could you give me a quick summary or synopsis of the changes? Not line by line, but just basically what you were setting out to do in general.
Okay, this started as there were some policies that the board had passed that needed to be added to the handbook that weren't in it. Most notably the bullying and harassment policy, the sexual misconduct policy, that sort of thing. As I was asked to do a copy edit by my predecessor, and as I got into that, I realized that there were other things that probably needed to be changed. The firearms policy that had been passed a few years back was totally missing. It was supposed to have gone in there. It never had been put in there. My biggest single change that I made was that I added a section on investigations and sanctions, because there was one mention of sanctions in the whole handbook, and that was just basically you need to report them to the Society Seneschal. So that's the biggest change that I made. Did clean up on editing. Renee and Patrick looked at the insurance section, and basically we rewrote that because it had a lot of information that would go out of date very quickly, and it's better to have a more general overview, Renee felt, and refer people to the website. There were a couple of other sections that I know there are a few lawyers on this call, not to offend you, but were written in pure legalese that I tried to translate into English, but without making any changes to the actual substance of things. That's basically it. Just those are the big changes. And there's always cleanup on language that you do, grammar edits here and there.
Okay, other comments, discussion? How soon, assuming we approve this, how soon will this go out, Liz?
Some of that's up to Renee and Marla. I can get it to them fairly quickly. I intend in May to try and have a meeting with the Kingdom Seneschals, a Zoom meeting where I kind of hit the highlights with them and go over it, which will also serve the purpose of making sure they've all at least looked at it. They're supposed to, but I know how that goes. So I would defer to Renee on an estimate of when it could go out, because I'm not exactly sure of that process. I know I send it to her and then things happen.
Tomorrow, in my world, is the minute I get it, we'll start selling it through the stock clerk's office that gets posted on there. So we're good to go as soon as I get a clean copy.
Okay, so I'm going to say sometime this week because this is going to be a busy week. I'm not sure I can get to everything tomorrow.
I'm good with that. And I might add, we are looking at resending it to the people that purchased it during this last month from the Stockbrook's office. We've had a big sale. There's been, a fair number. So we're going to go back in and send them the newest copy. It seems like the fair thing to do.
Very good, thank you. Other comments, discussion, questions? Okay, all in favor of approving the update to the society, excuse me, to the Seneschal's handbook, please signify. 2, 3. Any opposed? Thank you, Natalie. Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, I believe that closes new business. Next, we move on to reports. First report is President of the SCA Inc., John Bearkiller.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I present my report, I'll let everybody know that when we read reports, situations during board meetings, we usually read our commendations and our publishable summaries. There are other parts of it. If you want to see any officer's complete report, that will come out in my after board report, which is will come out in about 2 to 3 weeks after this board meeting. This is the April 2021 quarterly report for the Office of the President of the SCA. My commendations. The April 2021 quarterly meeting is the last one for Director John W. St. Dennis. Baron Lorcan Dracontius. I would personally like to thank him for his for his integrity, intelligence, hard work, and depth of heart that he's brought to the SA and the board. Being on the board of directors can be very stressful. Board members are not always thanked, in my opinion, for the sacrifices they make to do a job many are not interested in, let alone dealing with the huge amount of responsibility that comes with it. John's tenure on the board has accomplished a great deal. The implementation of the bullying and harassment policy, the social media policy, now the new social media policy, a rewrite and restructure of sanctions, creation of the DEI Communications Office, and having to deal with SEA business during an epidemic, to name just a few. His actual accomplishments are really too numerous to list here. John has dealt with aggravation and challenges and remained polite and focused. He and his example to me and to many others. Thank you, John, and thanks to those who were on the board with him and to those who will come on and continue on afterward. It is very much appreciated. My publishable summary regarding Renee Signorati and Teresa Anderson. For those who may not have heard, Renee and Teresa will be retiring from their positions of Vice President of Corporate Operations and Member Services, Renee, and Administrative Assistant Teresa in September of this year, 2021. Renee and Teresa have been responsible for managing the SCA office for decades. The office handles memberships, insurance, stock clerk duties, and dozens or so other tasks needed to maintain our not-for-profit corporation and status. The amount of information and experiences these two wonderful ladies have is enormous. This is not to jump the gun on celebrating and thanking them for keeping the SCA together. That will come in the near future. Whether we remind everybody we're looking to hire someone to replace Renee, the office, which will be moving locally in the San Jose area to a more cost-efficient location, will remain in the San Jose area, as we're not quite at the point of having a true virtual office environment, which we are working toward. If you would like to know more about the retirements or the office management position, go to SCA.org. On that front page, there is a People on the Move corporate officer upcoming retirements tab. Hit it, it'll give you more information. The deadline for the position is April 30th, 2021. If you need more information, please feel free to ask me and contact me at president@sca.org. There was also the resolution to lift the suspension of in-person activity. Again, if you want to see this, go to sca.org on that first page. It's somewhere near the bottom. There's a tab that will describe the resolution to lift the suspension starting June 1st of this year. I urge everybody to take a look at it and see what we're dealing, what the situation is when we open from then on. There are several very important rules that start on June 1st. I urge everyone again to read it. And the resolution only applies to events within North America. As you review this information, please keep in mind that everything is dependent on how well immunizations continue, as well as the health needs and rules established by the modern authority. It is also possible that real conditions can affect some of those rules. Again, read that. The board, Society Seneschal, my office will be communicating to everyone changes as concerns on a regular basis. If you're not subscribing to announcement, please do so. Again, www.sca.org. It'll give you email updates on any announcement or anything the board is currently asking comments on, or any important stuff that comes across the SCA's business. Amazon Smile. This last quarter, the Amazon Smile program donated $2,700 and some odd dollars to the SCA General Fund. Amazon does this through the Amazon Smile program. It doesn't add anything to your bill. If you need help signing up and you do a lot of business with Amazon, please do so. You can Google how to do it. You can email me and I'll tell you, get you walk through it. It's a very easy process. It has been a rough year for all of us, and there will continue to be challenges. Please take care of yourselves. In regard to the June 1st rule, there has been a question about whether or not the SCA itself can require proof of COVID vaccination or proof of negative COVID tests and temperature checks and such. The board discussed this with Liz, the Society Seneschal, and myself, and this is the announcement that will be going out to in the next day or so, but I'm going to read it so that everybody here knows. The Society has received several inquiries regarding the possibility of individual kingdoms requiring proof of vaccinations, negative COVID tests, and temperature checks of attendees at Society events. There have been comments submitted both for and in opposition to such additional requirements. The board, the Society Seneschal, and my office have discussed these requests and comments, as well as the March 23rd board resolution, which takes effect on June 1st, that lifts the current suspension and adds additional rules. The board resolution itself established a certain set of requirements for events, and cited the necessity to follow all federal, provincial, state, and local laws effective on June 1st and past that date. The board, the Society Seneschal, my office, are all in agreement that kingdoms and all groups below kingdom status shall only be permitted to require proof of vaccination, a negative COVID test, or temperature checks where required by federal, provincial, state, or local laws. No variances will be granted that do not comply with this interpretation. This position complies with March 23rd, 2021 board's resolution and the set of rules that came along with that, as long as the long-standing rules of Kapora for admission to SCA events. While we recognize the disappointment that some members of the Society may feel in this position, it is important to remember that the Society does not require proof of vaccination for any other communicable diseases in order to attend. Requiring proof of vaccination would have the practical effect of unfairly banning members and their families that may not be able to be vaccinated at the time of the event, despite their desire to do so, such as certain minors and people with allergic reactions. We will release this. Again, there's been answers from, questions from some kingdoms about this. Can we require? The answer is currently, under this interpretation, no, you cannot. But again, if circumstances change, we will look at, and the board will look at any thing that may need to be done. And Mr. Chairman, if there is no further questions for me, that is my report.
Do we have any questions for the president? Hearing none, let's move on. Next report is Information Technology Manager, Rusty.
Hello. Herein follows my first quarter report to the Board of Directors for today's meeting. I have no requested board actions. I have no policy interpretations. I have no new policies. I would, however, like to commend Renee, Teresa, David and Marla for all of their day-to-day work and keeping tech and other services running, and also commend Patrick Anderson for his invaluable counsel over this last quarter with a number of issues. Our general report / publishable summary is that technology continues to move forward. We have been continuing to assist our officers in the more, or I should say most efficient use of technology in the society. We also encourage the populace to continue to donate pictures which show the wonderful aspects of the SCA for the website. We are very pleased that so much of the SCA continues electronically, and we encourage everyone to stay as safe as they can in the intervening time. We are continuing to look for ways to lower costs and improve support and functionality for not only our members, but our corporate officers. And that's all I have.
All right, any questions for Rusty? Rusty, we thank you for your report. Next, we have the Society Communications Officer. John Fulton, are you going to present that report for?
I will, Mr. Chairman. This is the first quarter 2021 report for the Society Communications Office, Kelly McGill, in the SCA known as Heather Shea, the Questrix. Our commendations are, I wish to thank John Fulton, Bridget Costello, and Sarah Covert-Chapman for their guidance and assistance. Special thanks to Maya Nelson for being an awesome video editor and for always being available. Her publishable summary is the Office of Communications is continuing to support and facilitate communications throughout the known world in conjunction with social media. We are looking at expanding our virtual presence through video and online access to training. That is the report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Mr. President, is there an additional report from the social media officer?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This is the Q1 report for the social media office of the Society. Bridget Costello, SCA name, and it's a total board requested action is to approve the revised social media policy attached to this report. She has some discussion. While this document will continue to evolve over time, it has undergone significant consultation on multiple occasions, and I actively recommend the approval of this draft. It is much stronger than the current policy in place. Approving this document will provide the Office of the Seneschal, Royalty, and their social media officers clearer direction and support. The supporting glossary will all be published as a standalone document, but incorporated into the handbook in the future. She plans, in addition to the requested board action, she does state that the handbook itself will be presented at the July meeting. New policies, just that our office handbook is working. Commendations. I commend to the board's notice the Kingdom of Avacall has really upped its Instagram game recently and are seeing some major returns. Baron James Highgate of Trimaris for a successful establishment of the Trimaris Discord server. The East Kingdom's YouTube channel continues to flourish with more than 1,400 followers. Thank you to Lady Runa for assisting with editing and preparing the backlog of This Week in DEI and Society Facebook Live videos, which have been added to the Society YouTube channel and are being published. I will totally ruin this name. Media Ingen Thegd Undamnal of Atlantia, and I apologize, for timely, responsive, compassionate administration and execution of her duties in challenging circumstances. Ari Labornia, the social media officer at Highland Ford, she was only able to attend one in-person event before the pandemic struck, but she has thrown herself into the SMD position, social media position. She taught 2 great classes at Atlantic University, one about using social media platforms, and the other about effective streaming to great acclaim. Countess Beatrice Maria Malesta and Lord Sol McNicolai, who successfully streamed Locke's 12th night in Autumn Crowns. Watch parties occurred across the known world, including one which was attended by people from at least 8 kingdoms. Genevieve Alaise d'Avion and the Merdiers event live streaming team, who shared 6 virtual elevations with the known world over a 4-week period. The Kaid social media team, they continue to be a light to work with and a credit to their kingdom and society. The sitting royalty of the known world who continue to engage, support, and care for their populaces via social media. All those who are participating in the first known world bardic war. The amazing Jessica Van Hatten, gracious under pressure and steadfast in her ongoing work to make us the best version of ourselves we can be. John Fulton, Liz Schreier, an island of common sense and calm in a turbulent world. Sarah, Ross, and Kelly, always there. All of our online content creators and support teams, particularly those who have had their first anniversary. The known world thanks you and is better for your efforts. Renee Signorati and Leslie Luther Fulton for their continued patient kindness, good sense, and outstanding competence. A huge thanks to everyone participating and facilitating our online events, including our event stewards, moderators, teachers, performers, promoters, and all members of the populace. And this would have been much more enjoyable with Bridget's charming lilt. Publishable summary, the Office of Social Media continues to connect the known world through conversation, inspiration, and friendship. We couldn't do any of it without you. She will have a lot more. Again, we will put the whole report in the afterboard report. Mr. Chairman, this is the social media officer's report.
We thank the social media officer for her report, and Mr. President, we thank you for presenting it, and along with your entertaining interpretation and pronunciation of names, adding a note of levity to an otherwise very dry board meeting. Always count on you for a little extra boost there, and you certainly have delivered today. All right, just before we move on to the next report, I'd just like to note that if there are any questions out there among the people that are watching, you are certainly welcome to type your questions for the Q&A at the end of this meeting into the chat box. At the end of the meeting, we're going to compile these and sort of ruminate over them for a few minutes before we come back at the end of that. But we are collecting them now, so if you want to type your questions in, that would be wonderful. Next on the agenda, we have the Society DEI officer and her report, Jessica Van Hatten. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is very exciting for me because I get to brag on people that are here and make them feel awkward, which is good for me. But okay. Endless thank yous to Bridget, the Society social media officer, who has been so ridiculously supportive that to list every instance would make this report a novel. Your experience and feedback has guided me far beyond just the scope of social media, and I could not do this job without you. To Emmy, Lynette, Kaid, you're helping to keep me going. Thank you so much for your knowledge and expertise in helping to develop these classes and keep me organized. To Dale and Renee, thank you for being our first and second guests, respectively, on Chatting with Corporate. I am so grateful for the opportunity to brag on you both and the work that you do. John and Liz, thank you so much for working so hard to keep us all going when everything feels so difficult. You've both inspired me personally when I've been in a rough place, and I can't tell you how much I value your friendship and leadership. Patrick, thank you for lighting a way through the murky fog of legalese and always putting up with my near endless questions. I wouldn't trade your friendship for anything. To everyone who has been educating themselves in the sphere of DEI, both in and out of the SCA, your initiative is commendable and exactly what we need to see real progress. From the folks who have reached out to me to the discussion groups that I know have popped up in several regions, you're all amazing. To all the officers, royalty, and others who are working in the uncertainty of a changing modern landscape to transition us back to our new normal or something like it, I see you, I appreciate you. And as always, I'm endlessly grateful for my deputies, as without their support, I would certainly be overwhelmed. Thank you so much. And then my publishable summary is basically This Week in DEI, which can be found on the official DEI Facebook page. There's a link in the actual report. Continues to be a staple of DEI education in the SCA. I'm accepting suggestions and recommendations for topics folks would most like to see explored. Thanks to the hard work of Bridget and Runa, we are additionally uploading DEI videos to the SCA YouTube page. So please do feel free to message the Facebook page or email me directly at equity@sca.org. You can also learn more about the corporate officers and BOD members in Chatting with Corporate, where Bridget and I will be interviewing the folks who are working with us to keep SCA Inc. moving along. I would also like to note that this Friday on the 23rd, there will be a town hall meeting where John and Liz will answer questions about COVID reopening. I do continue to teach various classes on topics related to DEI, as do our many Kingdom DEI deputies, officers, council members, and many others. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me if you would like to know more about when these might be, or if you are interested in scheduling these for your area, and I will do my best to facilitate this. And that is it. Thank you.
Any questions for Jessica? All right, thank you for your report. Next, we're going to move on to 6B, Vice President of Operations, Society Seneschal. That is you, Liz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All of my requested board actions were already taken care of earlier in the meeting. I have no policy interpretations this quarter, no new policies. Commendations. In the fall of 2018, Ed Kraling, Master Eric of Telemark, answered the call, as he has many times during his career in the SCA, and became the investigations deputy to my predecessor. While other society seneschals have had deputies who assisted with this important subset of their duties, Ed was the first person tasked with formalizing such a position to oversee investigations. I worked under him as an investigator for a time. In fact, he spent 2.5 years bringing order out of chaos, and now he wishes to take a well-deserved rest. And I want to thank and commend him for creating this badly needed position, carrying that load for so long, and helping me as I moved into the Society Seneschal office. Enjoy your break, Ed. I'm sure that you're going to find new endeavors to help the SCA before long. I also want to commend Robert Roubeau, Master Addison Carrick. Robert became the Seneschal of Glenavon last summer, and while modern world factors shortened his tenure, his care and concern for his kingdom was obvious during his time in office, and he was a pleasure to work with. I was also pleased to be able to renew a long-ago friendship, as I remember Robert and his lady wife from their early SCA days, when the shire they started sprang up not too far from my own shire at the time. Thank you for your service and good luck in your future endeavors. Finally, I'm going to mention the Society Chatelaine, Ann Stevenson, Maestra Giovanna Adamari. Through this most difficult year in the SCA's history, she's continued quietly and behind the scenes to work with Kingdom Chatelaines to encourage them in using online resources to recruit newcomers and provide orientation for newer members. She's functioning almost without input from me, I'm sorry to say, but she's doing a remarkable job in an office which is vitally important but too often not noticed. Thank you, Anne, for your dedication, and I would also like to commend Anne's deputy, Brett Chandler French, I'm going to murder this name, Goldward of St. Goliath, for his excellent work on the proposed newcomers guide that the board just approved. I also received some commendations in Kingdom Seneschal reports, which I would like to call to the board's attention. From Onstiora, I would like to commend my DEI officer, Master Rene Demores, Nathan Vickers. With his work, I have implemented DEI training for all seneschals. Other officers are joining me in this or similar requirements. From the Seneschal of Artemisia, Her Majesty Veronique Darcy has been an advocate for everything we have come up with to keep our kingdom together. I would like to put her name forward for a commendation. And from Meridies, from the Seneschal of Meridies, kudos to my Kingdom Web Minister, the Honorable Lord Ian MacArthur, for revamping our entire electronic communications, migrating everyone to G Suites. Excuse me. There has been pushback from some, but overall, I think people are seeing the value of streamlining and modernizing. Kudos to KT Shepard, Graf Ulrich von Brandenburg, for his work on the Meridian Kingdom Law Committee, and congratulations and best wishes as he assumes his role as your emergency replacement deputy. You've selected a fine person, and I am confident that he will serve the society as well as he has done his kingdom. My publishable summary. There should soon be a new Seneschal's Handbook available on the website and from the stock clerk. Thank you, board, for approving this project. This document, despite its title, isn't just for Seneschals. Various sections of it contain rules and policies that apply to all participants, and I encourage everybody to at least take a look at it. Non-Seneschals can skip the boring parts about insurance and such if they want to, but there's a lot of information there that supplements and expands upon the governing documents. It can also give a better understanding of the nuts and bolts of how the SCA functions on a day-to-day basis. With the board's recent decision to allow events to resume with restrictions that aim to continue protecting the health and safety of our participants, there is finally a ray of hope in the near future. The resumption will require a great deal of work and diligence from the Office of the Seneschalate, both at the society and kingdom levels, and local levels for that matter, but it will be lovely to resume in-person activities again. At the same time, the good that came from the last year, such as video classes being offered to much wider audiences, friendships across kingdoms made or renewed via remote connections, etc., should not be cast aside. On that note, more guidance will continue to be provided to the kingdoms, with updates planned at least monthly from this office and the President's office acting together. I expect some blanket variations will be issued to cover things like crown tourney dates and reign changeovers in the upcoming months. Amazingly, it seems a number of people have actually found the SCA through online activities during this difficult year. Now is our chance to bring those new folks in and show them how amazing our hobby is in person as well. We all, every member and participant, need to remember what it was like to be new, full of wonder but also uncertainty, and try our best to make their experience a very positive one. And from my deputies, the Society's Shadlin, Ann Stevenson, Giovanna Adamari. Ann has had Zoom meetings with Kingdom Seneschals on a regular basis. There's actually a fair amount of recruiting and newcomer orientation going on even during COVID. She expresses some concerns shared by Kingdom Shadlins about what the SCA is going to look like in the near term once things reopen. And as a side note, I invited her to my last Society Seneschal meeting to hear what John and I were telling the Seneschals about the reopening. And the YAFA officer, Lori Parker, Alazon Thurgerson, Nay Lefebvre, YAFA has nothing of import to report. COVID continues to be an issue regarding participation of families, although anticipation of in-person events is causing mounting excitement and planning of future activities. And that is my report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schreier. Any questions? Well, we accept your report. Moving on, let's talk to Vice President of Corporate Operations, Renee.
Thank you. I have no requests for board action, no policy interpretations, my commendations. It's been a pleasure working with John St. Dennis for the last 3 years. He's been a calming force during some very difficult times. And for that and his friendship, I really appreciate him. He certainly excelled in the vice chair position and brought excellent management practices that we all benefit from. It has been an honor to work with you, John. Lunch on Wednesday. The publications manager, Gloria Woodard, I'd like to thank the publications team. They have done extraordinary work during the pandemic to provide content for the newsletters and SCA publications. They are to be commended for their selfless dedication of time and talent to the betterment of the SCA. Please support the publications of the SCA. My publishable summary is, the Membership Assistance Fund continues to be utilized. If people don't know what that is, we have very considerate donors that have contributed to a Membership Assistance Fund. There's no questions asked. If you need help, you're welcome to contact us. We'll give you a membership form to fill out, submit it to us, and process your membership. So to date, we've distributed $568 in assistance with a balance of $5,177.63 remaining in the fund. I'd like to once again thank all the donors. Your generosity is appreciated. The reskinning of the SCA membership portal has been completed and implemented. You can now access your membership on your phones, renew your membership, request a replacement of your membership card, pull up proof of membership, read newsletters, etc. The current project with members only is to reopen the event module. They were kind enough to shutter it when events were suspended and not charge us for the module. And we have now asked them to reactivate it since the SCA is beginning to open up again. An open house, basically a show and tell, will be this coming Wednesday for all Kingdom Seneschals and Exchequers to view the event module, and we'll be doing training shortly thereafter. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Renee? So actually, I have a question. What is the, and I'm not sure if we can answer this now, I believe we can. Just for the participants that are out there, what is the corporate policy on your membership card in terms of if you go up to an event and they want you to show you your membership card, can you show a picture of your card? Can you bring up the website and show it?
You can't show a picture of your card, but you can log into your membership on your phone and show the proof of membership, which lists your legal name, your membership number, your SCA name, and whether you have a valid waiver on file. So it's as good as a membership card.
Good. Very good. Other questions? All right, thank you, Renee. Next, we have a report from the Tournament's Illuminated editor, Darcy. That's you, I believe. Don't forget to unmute.
There we go. Yeah. Okay, this is the report of the Tournament's Illuminated editor for the first quarter of 2021. No requested board actions or policy interpretations and no new policies. Commendations, my thanks to all TI staff for their continuing assistance in our ongoing efforts to catch up with TI's production schedule, and to our authors who continue to exercise much patience with me as we go forward. Everyone's been doing their best under some truly trying circumstances, and I'm humbled by you all. My particular gratitude, as always, to TI's art director, Joyce Morris, Mistress Gwendolyn of Amberwood, OLOP of the Kingdom of Kaid, who seems to outdo herself with each succeeding issue. If you've seen the cover of issue 214, which has on it a particularly nice piece of work by Master Atar Bakhtar of the Kingdom of Tremaris, known to the modern world as Dr. Jim Chrysoulis, in reflection of some really nice content on Damascus steel. I would put TI on a newsstand up against anything, and Joyce is such a big part of that. She really presents what we put out in the best way possible, and she's a gem, and we're lucky. And I'm sorry, in the general status report, it's just really easy to wax enthusiastic about her work. She makes TI look fabulous. I continue to work on catching up the TI issue production schedule, as happy as I am to say that it is more current. It is still not entirely current. Issue 215 will go to press in April. I still expect that by the end of this month. And then I see I have a rolling series of typos about issue numbers, and I'm horrified, and I apologize, and I will resubmit if you like. How it should work is issue 216 should be to press by June. 217 I hope to have to press by the beginning of August. Issue 218 will be going to press and thence into the mail no later than the third quarter of 2021. 219 is in production. My ultimate, absolutely, the production schedule will be caught up by the end of this year. Ideally, I would like to have it caught up by the third quarter, but I'm not going to promise that because I don't want to have to come back and say, okay, well, it'll be the fourth quarter after all. And the publishable summary issue 218 should be going to press and mailing by the third quarter. Issue 219 is in production. And that's the end of my report for the first quarter.
Thank you, Darcy. Next, we have the editor for the Complete Anachronists, Ellen Rawson.
Hi. Okay. I have no requested board actions, no policy interpretations, and no new policies. For my commendations, I owe so much to both Elise Fleming and Ian Walden for copy editing CAs 189 and 190. And I really relied on them, doing maybe even more than usual, because this was my own work. It was my updated translation of Cacton's The Game and Play of the Chessa, volumes 1 and 2. They also worked really hard on copy editing CA 191, which I did not write, and I'll thank that author in just a second. Transforming the Living and the Dead, Evolving Thoughts of the Afterlife. But both Elise and Ian have devoted a lot of time and energy to Complete Anachronist and deserve many thanks. Sue Gilbert, who is the art director for Complete Anachronist, also deserves kudos for her layout and design work. something to say about Sue is that she works quickly and efficiently, but the final results are extremely attractive. She's amazing. She is a consummate professional, and I really want to thank her for all the hard work that she does. CA is caught up. I understand, like TI, we'd had we'll be caught up very, very soon. We like TI, we had a drought of submissions, just everything that was happening in the real world took over people's lives. But we are now caught up because CA 191 is going to be sent to Joyce Morris at the publishers tomorrow. Okay, so it should be mailed out, I'm hoping by, around the end of the month. So that'll be caught up. I'd also like to thank Catherine Ullman, who is the author of CA 191. She's been working on this for a while. She's probably spent a couple of years working on this, and I've seen bits and pieces, and then she was able to use time during the pandemic to complete it. So I want to thank Catherine Ullman, who's the author of CA 191, and I'd also like to thank Susan Carroll Clark and Dina Trinello, who were fantastic reviewers and helpers with it. The general status report, okay, 2020 Q3, CA 189, the game and play of Chessa, Volume 1 has been published. When I wrote the report, CA 190, which is 2020 Q4, Volume 2 of the game and play of the Chessa was with Joyce, but I've received a copy of it, so it must have been mailed out to everyone else because it takes longer to get to me over in England. So that's out, and when I wrote the report, we were saying, I wrote that CA 91, which will be 2021, Q1, Transforming the Living and the Dead, Evolving Thoughts of the Afterlife. It was in the PDF proof page. We'd already gone through the first proof and made changes. We've gone through about 8 proofs making changes. And so hopefully we found most of them and most of the issues. And like I said, it should be going to, Joy should have it in her email tomorrow morning, her time. So hopefully it'll be mailed out in late April, early May at the latest. So I'm really pleased to be able to report that. For the publishable summary, I don't know if you want me to read the whole thing. These are basically bits that can be used in advertising as well. So I don't know if you want me to read all of it. It's basically summaries, sort of publicizing the 3 complete anachronist books.
No, you can summarize if you wish. There's no need to read all of it.
Okay, yeah, because they can be used as advertising. So basically, 189 and 190 is the game and play of the Chessa, volumes 1 and 2. They originally written in Latin in the late 12th century. The game and play of the chess is not a chess manual, unfortunately, but it's an influential document using chess as an allegory for the ideal world, and it purports to explain how chess was developed, allegedly as a way to teach a dictator how to be a better ruler. Explaining not only how rulers and nobility in general should behave, but it also covers the common people and their behavior, and the idea that both the commoners and the nobility need to work together, or they must rely on each other. It was only published in English in 1474 by Caxton, and then he updated it in 1483. A bit of politics going on because that was during Richard III's reign, and this is about good governance. Okay. So it had not been fully translated into our late modern English, and so that's what these 2 books are. Volume 1 covers the sections on why chess was invented, the need for good governments, and how the nobility should behave. There are a lot of classical and biblical allusions in them. Volume 2 continues with the desired behavior of the common people, and briefly about how the chess game was played, which is different than how it's played today. For CA 191, Transforming the Living and the Dead, Evolving Thoughts of the Afterlife, the idea that customs concerning death vary depending on culture, but no one can escape the inevitable. We don't study often the idea of death and the dead in the SCA, but they truly are key to understanding how pre-17th century Western European people lived their lives, and how religious beliefs played a substantial role in forming attitudes about death and the dead. And so regardless of your interest or your persona in the SCA, these beliefs impacted people's attitudes and also influenced one's daily lives. And so this CA is talking about such things, and we'll talk about the development of the Christian idea of purgatory. why cemeteries were in certain places, when and where, and even charnel houses are discussed in this complete anachronist. And 192 is in production, and it will be on netted hairnets. And that's it.
Thank you, Ellen. I want to get through, let's go next to the Society Chronicler. Stephanie is not here. Renee, are you going to present that from your undisclosed location?
I mean, I'm in the office. Oh, no, I'm here. Yes, requested board action, none at this time. Policy interpretations, none. No new policies, commendations for continued gratitude for Riordan and the TI team and their amazing work on the Black Fox Awards listings. Publishable summary, I'm excited to see what the group newsletters have to offer. So many work diligently to highlight their local group and the SCA as a whole. Great work, all of you. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
Mr. Chairman.
Chair recognizes Bart Regner.
I would like to move that we take a temporary recess of 10 minutes, please.
Do we have a second for this? Good. Okay, by consensus, then we'll take a 10-minute break and just to refill our coffee mugs and get prepared, and then come back and pick up at the Society Treasurer. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Ross.
Dale, what do you have for a snack?
I'll give you a hint.
Oh, do tell, please. What was that?
What?
I'll bet you can't have just one.
No, Pringles.
Pringles.
I've got cheese sticks and pepperonis. It's a little charcuterie board, if you will.
Oh.
So lunch is coming. I'm going to have the camera paused a little bit while I nosh, and I'll be on sound.
I had seaweed. It was good.
Rusty, we're currently live, are we not?
We're being recorded. Yep.
Okay, good.
Oh, and I had this.
We're just sharing our whole self.
Honestly, Dennis, if you turn your camera off, we may actually just have you re-upped for the board for 3 more years.
No.
Ooh. That's just mean.
We have about a minute, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sound going live. Oh, sound is live. I am paused on the camera. I'm good.
You can start anytime, Dan. We're kind of at 3:05, but we did break a little bit after that. So whenever you want to restart.
Yeah, we're gonna go another minute. Just let everybody get back. Okay, Jennifer, I'm sorry. I think I've been saying your name wrong.
Yes, you have.
I apologize. I remember the conversation we had about what it was, and then I got confused, and there's been this huge behind-the-scenes discussion about me saying your name wrong. I want you to know that. Can you say it correctly for me and everyone else here, please? One last time. Crockmall, thank you very much. I apologize for that.
Just think of the shoes, like croc, and then you're gonna maul someone with your croc, so you're croc mauling.
Well, that's the way I wanted to say it. That's the natural way I wanted to say it. And then we had that discussion. Then I got all confused because I couldn't remember what we decided, and then it was bad. It was very bad. Okay, so it is 1:06 now. We've had 10 minutes to put ourselves back together. We're going to continue on with the officer reports, and next on our list is 6D, the Society Treasurer. Mazella, you've got a lot for us today.
Okay, unto the esteemed directors of the Society, greetings. Herein follows the first quarter 2021 report to the Board of Directors regarding the Office of the Treasurer. No requested board actions, policy interpretations, none, new policies, none, commendations. A gigantic appreciation goes out to all the extra known.
Oh, it's going to be a very short
work required to make sure the reports are submitted on time. Yes, very short. This has truly been an amazing year for on-time reports, especially for those individuals that have jobs in the healthcare industry and other essential jobs. Many thanks for taking the time to do volunteer work on top of everything else. General status report, publishable summary. All the 4 kingdoms have submitted their consolidated kingdom reports to the SCA accounting specialist. This is an unprecedented occurrence, as in most years, maybe 1/3 have been able to complete their workbooks by the end of March. A big, big thank you to all the Kingdom Exchequers for staying on top of things. The SCA corporate office is operating under a negative balance for 2021 due to the decrease in membership revenue and non-member registration fees, since the SCA is still operating under the resolution for no in-person events. The assumption was that there was a strong possibility of no events for most of the year. With the new resolution that goes into effect in June 1, 2021, we could see an increase in revenues. Until such time that we are operating under the black again, the corporate office will continue to pull money out of the investment funds for payment of expenses as needed. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Ms. L. Just to clarify, you cut
Can I
out
ask a question?
for a number of seconds there, and so you pop right back in. Natalie, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious if you thought that some of the reporting, the excellence in reporting that we're seeing is because of the software that folks have been able to use. Do you think that's part of it, or do you just think people are being amazing people?
I think
or
people
both?
are being amazing, both. Only that it's the Kingdom exchequers that are using the QuickBooks, and that certainly has been very beneficial. It really has. To the point that we've had one kingdom that actually has bought their own license so that they can get all their local groups onto QuickBooks, and that has been successful. They've said a lot of people are really liking that. It's making their jobs easier on a local level too. And so that's so I think that's part of it. We have had a number of newer exchequers, Kingdom exchequers join, but we've been doing a lot of training and definitely been working closer with the Kingdom exchequers and making sure everything is up to date. And so it's just a combination of a lot of things. I think some of the reporting too is the fact that we haven't had events. Usually we have Estrella and Gulf Wars, and that tends to slow me getting the consolidated reports in a timely manner. So, yeah, there's, pros and cons to the whole situation. But overall, they've been doing really good with the reports.
That's really
Renee,
exciting.
you have
Thank
a
you,
question?
Marcel.
Sorry for interrupting, Natalie. Renee, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to make a comment that while we're in the, in the negative somewhat, we've only actually pulled from the investment account very recently, and it was the only time. So we've been actually quite lucky to not be having to dip more. And I'm thinking we'll be okay, but we'll see. That's it.
So if I can add a comment here for those of you who are unaware of the way the SCA works at the corporate level, we have a fund that we use for operating expenses. We have revenue that comes in. We pay for salaries and for the services and for office and for insurance and all those things out of that. We also have an investment fund that we put money away into for a rainy day. It is raining. We have used it, but we've been fortunate not to use it very much. And Mazel, could you just, because I know people are always really curious about this, and I know that it's really difficult to generalize when it comes to money, but how would you characterize where we are? Still not out of the woods yet, but looking better, or?
We're definitely not out of the woods. Let me pull this up real quick and kind of give you an overview. This will get posted up on the sca.org underneath the treasurer's office. So I had budgeted, just so you kind of get an idea. The 2020, the ending for 2020, the actual, and it was a very bad year, but we were supposed to have $32,000 approximately as revenue for 2020. We usually have a little bit more on a yearly basis, but the actual for 2020 was $211,000 in the negative because of the impact we have. 2021 is actually starting a little bit better. We're still a little bit in the negative, but a little bit better than what my proposed budget was. We're just sitting right now at a negative revenue. That's just profit and loss. It varies per month, of course, based on revenue. We're sitting at a negative $46,426. That does not, of course, that is not considering what we have in the bank. That's not on the balance. That's not the balance sheet. This is just strictly the profit and loss statement. There's a lot of other factors that go into it. So that's why I say that we're operating on a negative basis. We certainly have revenue coming in, just not quite enough to get us at a break-even point. But I have a feeling things will change a little bit. Did I answer your question,
Yeah,
Dan?
well, you say we're at a negative balance or running at a negative balance or a negative rate.
A negative
That's out of a
profit and loss. We're
negative,
operating at a slight loss right now.
and this is out of a total budget size of about 1.2 million.
About 1.2 million.
Okay, so last year we fell a couple $100,000 short of that. We're looking like we're doing a little better. So you know, this is a result, you know, just from my observation here of, you know, some incredible work on your office and on a lot of people in the SCA sort of drawing down and saving as much money as we can and reducing our costs as much as we can during this time. We've spent a lot of time in the SCA over years, decades really, of being able to put ourselves in a position where we could weather a storm like this. And it looks like we're doing pretty well so far. Storm's not over, but we're doing pretty well so far. Okay, other questions and comments? All right, let's move on to the Society Exchequer. We have Bonnie for that, but Lizelle, I think Bonnie is here.
Yes, yes. Greetings. I have several requested board actions. One is to approve the Kingdom financial policy for Atlantia. Do y'all want me to?
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, please.
Mr. Chairman, or do you want Bonnie to go and then you want me to go?
Let's do these one at a time, if that's all right. This is Bonnie, you're asking for the, what are you asking for again, please? I'm sorry.
Approval of the Kingdom financial policy for the Kingdom of Atlantia.
Okay.
Yep. Mr. Chairman, I would like to move that we approve the updated financial policy from Atlantia as presented by the Society Exchequer.
Second.
Okay, motion by Director Degerstrom, second by Director Colson. Discussion on this? Just like to comment, of course, that we have had a chance to review this well in advance of the meeting. Okay, seeing no discussion, we'll call for a vote. Those in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay.
Thank
Bonnie.
you. I would like to ask the board to approve the Kingdom financial policy and PayPal policy for the Kingdom of North Shield.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Kingdom of North Shield financial and PayPal policy as presented by the Society Exchequer.
Second.
Point of information, do we need to do those separately because they are listed separately on the agenda?
There's the society policy. These policies are just for North Shield.
I'm getting a no on that.
Are they two different policies or is it one policy with both combined?
They work together.
I'm getting a no from legal counsel, so I think we're good to move ahead with one motion on this. So we have a motion by Director Regner, second by Director Krochmal. Any discussion on this? All those in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? None. Motion carries. Bonnie?
I would like to ask that the board approves the Kingdom financial policy for Kaid.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Kingdom of Kaid financial policy as presented by the Society Exchequer.
Second.
We have a motion by Director Carter, second by Director Degerstrom. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
I would like to also ask the board to approve the financial policy for the Kingdom of Aidenvelt.
Can I have a motion for this, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Kingdom financial policy for the Kingdom of Aidenvelt.
Second.
So we have a motion by Director Regner, second by Director Carter. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Gigi, you're in favor, I assume, or are you? Okay, good. Abstentions? Motion carries.
I would like
Next, Bonnie.
I would like to ask the approval of Kingdom financial policy for the Outlands.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Kingdom of the Outlands financial policy as presented by the Society Exchequer.
Second.
Oh. Okay, motion by Director Krochmal, second by Director Colson. Any discussion? We have some discussion here by the treasurer. That recognizes Mizelle.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. It's not typical that we have this many policies being presented to the board at a particular meeting. One of the things that the Society Exchequer has instituted is that all the financial policies have to be in a standardized format that was developed by the office. And so this is due to the number of the kingdoms finally getting their policies updated to the standard format template that we have. That's all I wanted to say.
Giselle. Any other discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Bonnie?
Okay, I'd like to ask that the board approve the new society PayPal policy. Along with it, there's requirements that are qualifications for kingdoms to be able to use PayPal, and a procedure on how to do this. This also has been standardized so that if you're in question 1 of a policy, you can go to the procedure on number 1 and it follows and flows much better.
Mr. Chairman,
okay.
I move that we approve the Society PayPal policy, requirements, and procedure as presented by the Society Exchequer.
Second.
So we have a motion by Director Carter, second by Director St. Dennis. Discussion on this. Bonnie, can you tell us in a nutshell what the PayPal policy is?
Yes, sir. First, all the kingdoms that are allowed to use PayPal to have payment for their events, they have to have a clean financial house, I like to call it. So their reporting is up to date. Their consolidated is up to date. Their policies are up to date. And this also trickles down to their groups. If their groups do not have their their reports turned in on time, they will not be allowed to use PayPal. And this will overflow into SCARS also. One of the things with the PayPal policy that I know everyone is going to be excited about is we do have a change for at the door. We will allow devices to do the swiping or tapping. So we will have a way to have that contactless payment when we allow those type of events to occur. So that was the big change. Also, we will allow donations to be accepted. And for heraldry, we can now submit our heraldry and pay for it with PayPal.
That is outstanding.
So I'm excited. Thank you. Thank you.
This is a huge and very welcome change from the way we've been dealing with money in the past, trying to update this and get us into the 21st century before it becomes the 22nd century. So that's really good. So thank you very much for all the work that you and your staff have done on this.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. I do have I'm sorry.
Any more discussion on this particular one? Bonnie, did you want to add something now, or do you want to wait until we pass this motion?
Yes, I'll wait. I'm sorry.
Okay, all in favor? Very good. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, Bonnie.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to ask that the electronic fund transfer policy for the Kingdom of Glenavon be approved.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Glenavon online banking EFT policy as presented by the Society Exchequer.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Director St. Dennis, second by Director Carter. Any discussion on this? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's 6? Where's number 6? I'm missing someone. Oh, no, I am. Okay. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Bonnie?
Okay, I have no policy interpretations. I have no new policies. Commendations. I'd like to thank, kind of echo what Mizelle said earlier. I want to thank every group, the regional, the Herald Exchequers, the Kingdom Exchequers that have volunteered for this office. They have served the society silently by completing their reports, just on time, every time. So from the bottom of my heart, everyone out there, I do thank you. I do appreciate all the work that you've done. I would also like to thank Nika Johnson for her help with the PayPal rewrite. And I'd like a special thanks to Susan Sackett. She helped proofread the PayPal policy and the other PayPal documents. Sue has valuable experience as Gulf Wars PayPal deputy, PayPal deputy, and the 50-year PayPal deputy. So Sue, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I have a variance. It is for Gulf Wars, and it is to allow them to shift their budget from the normal deadlines to extend it just in case that Gulf Wars can happen in the fall of 2021 and then again in 2022 in March.
Okay, Liz, I think, don't you approve variances and then we uphold that?
That would be a financial policy variance, I believe, which means that is the Exchequer's purview, not mine.
Okay, very good. I'm sorry. John St. Dennis, you have a comment?
Yeah, no, actually, I have a motion if you'll entertain it, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the Society Exchequer's variance for the budget for Gulf Wars.
Second.
So we have a motion by Director St. Dennis, second by Director Regner. All those in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, so a general status report. Leslie talked about the warrant for Christina Lusk. She's going to extend as the Society NMR deputy. The kingdoms are all reporting through the fourth quarter of 2020. Like Mizelle said, they're all on QuickBooks. My contingency deputy, Rebecca Riney, is also our QuickBooks deputy. She is teaching everyone how to go through this. She's absolutely amazing. The other reports were attached to the report earlier for NMR, which everything's up to date, the sales tax report, and the transfer of funds, that was all attached. And my publishable summary, Society has hosted several Exchequer chaining classes. 7 kingdoms have attended and participated, and we've had from local to regional and kingdom exchequers participate these. Everybody has responded positively. So I wish to continue hosting these via Zoom so that people can get the training they need, even if it's one-on-one, so they can be successful.
Okay.
Then there's no travel at this time, and this concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Bonnie. Before we leave the section 6D, do we want to talk at all about the event module? Is there any announcements that need to go out for that? This is a bit of a surprise, I know, Mazel. Do you want to say anything here?
Well, as Bonnie was saying, for kingdoms to be able to use SCARs, they have to have their financial reporting up to date. So we're letting the Society Seneschal know if there's any kingdoms that fall into that group, into that batch of groups that are not current. And we will be doing a show and tell on Wednesday night for the Kingdom Seneschals and the Exchequers, and also for their SCARs deputies, if they have any yet. And then training will be starting shortly. The best way to describe SCARs is it's sort of like Ticketmaster, where you go in and you select your options and you pay for it, and you register for the event. It is done through the corporate office website, the SCA.org website. And so, it's on a secure website. And I really, don't want, I could go on for hours and hours on it. So I'm not going to say anything more at this time. So they can, people can email me if they need more information.
Okay, well, thank you to both of you for your dedicated work in this area. It really is nice to see, us moving toward a model like this. I think it'll be a lot easier for all the participants as well. Okay, so moving on, 6E, Laurel Queen of Arms. Craig, I think that is you.
Absolutely. I'm pleased to provide the report from Emma de Featherston, the Laurel Queen of Arms, for this April board meeting. She does have some requested board actions that we provided to the directors in advance, as well as some supporting documentation, rather quite a lot of supporting documentation related to this matter. To summarize the board action, she's requesting a couple of changes to the standards for evaluation of names and armory, specifically subsection PN3C2, NPN3C2. These both apparently deal with the usage of the differing ways consonants are pronounced to provide differences for naming conventions for approval of registration of names. In addition, she's asking for approval of another section, NPN2B. This is the non-personal names style section, where it's basically updating the SENA to change lingua anglica to lingua societatis. And this section was missed in a previous iteration. So I would actually then move to approve the changes to SENA PN3C2, NPN 3C2, and NPN 2B as requested by Laurel Queen of Arms, effective immediately.
Second.
So we have a motion by Director Carter and a second by Director Colson. Any discussion on this really fascinating part of the SCA? And I just also want to applaud you for your detailed analysis there, Director Carter.
I will admit that Emma was very nice and tutored me extensively on the things I just said.
That's very good. Discussion on this?
Please no.
Okay, let's go move to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you. I'd like to continue. Policy interpretations, none. New policies, we have added a list of place names that cannot be used in personal or non-personal names due to their past associations, primarily Nazi death camps. We have also added a list of names that need to be used with caution for the same reason. These lists are in Appendix N of SENA, which is a new appendix. Another item, item 2. We've recently begun looking at some blazon terminology. To that end, they reblazoned charges previously described as Oriental by either removing the word entirely as extraneous or changing it to East Asian, where we do not believe the descriptive distinction as in the East Asian dragon. The third piece of this section, similarly, we have just published a decision where we will no longer be assuming white for humans and human body parts in blazon when they are described as proper. Moving on to the commendations section. Again, these are summarized. I would like to commend the staff for our first ever mid-year plague edition, virtual KWHSS, held this past January. She would also like to commend each and every herald who helped with our virtual Herald's Point earlier this year. Additionally, she'd like to thank Dame Catherine and Baroness Elwin for letting them use Antier's PayPal account for the virtual Herald's Point. And finally, she would like to commend Master Yago Adam, the Coquille Pursuivant from the Kingdom of Antier, for the sheer amount of research, work he has done recently, pouring through period heraldic manuscripts, helping to overturn or redefine precedents, and educating us all regarding what can and cannot be found in period heraldry. The item E, General Status Report. The virtual plague year, mid-year known worlds herald and scribal symposium we held in January went over better than expected. So well, in fact, that we are planning to make it a regular virtual event every year. This July's known world symposium, sponsored by the Kingdom of the West, will still be a virtual event given the current circumstances. Under publishable summary, we also held a virtual Herald's Point in January and February. We paired submitters with heralds and artists, they included all the paperwork and the final payment handled electronically via PayPal. Signups ran for 3 weeks, and by the end, they had something over 600 submissions, for which more than 350 individuals from all 28 kingdoms were assisted. This ends the summary of the Herald's report.
Chair recognizes Leslie Luther Fulton.
Mr. Chairman, I just need clarification as to how you would like the new policies noted in the minutes. Are you going to uphold these policies, or would you like them just listed as purview of the office of Laurel Sovereign or Laurel Queen?
I believe the way that we normally do it is by upholding the policies.
Okay, then could I ask that you do each of them separately?
Yeah, do you want us to take separate votes on them?
Please.
Okay. Well, actually, let me stop a second. Didn't we decide to view these as handbook changes?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, let's approve them separately now, and if they need to be a handbook update, then Mr. President, you have a comment.
I have a question. Do the rules, these changes are in a document that is considered under the purview of the Herald's office? This is in effect a handbook, correct?
That is
the standards for evaluation of names and armory. I just don't know where that lives.
Do we know if this has been approved before? Do we know if this particular document has been approved before, if it's been amended?
Well, when I remember from my time, those halcyon days when I was the ombudsperson for the Herald, that we had this discussion about how to handle these, and we finally decided to consider CINA as a part of the Laurel Queen and Arms handbook, and that these changes would be updates to the handbook.
Would that be all right, LLF, if they did it as a handbook change? Or is the format in question?
I just need to know how to note this in the minutes, because I have found it both ways, done both ways. And you do have a brand new appendix section, so it's not really an update. It's like an actual appendix N is a new appendix. I'm fine however you want to note it. I just need to know how you prefer.
Mr. Chairman, can we accept
Chair
this?
recognizes Director St. Dennis.
Can we accept this as a consensus from the board, approving the changes and the adoption of the additional appendix?
Any objections?
If this is an actual add to a handbook, you would need to approve it as presented. You don't consensus an approval to an approved handbook.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the changes to SENA along with the adoption of a new appendix to same.
I believe that's kind of what we've already done.
Okay.
I think they want to either maybe break them out
Who
separately.
made that motion?
I did. I'm sorry, I sort of lost stream.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to split these out into separate motions? I'd be happy to.
I'll take input from the executive assistant.
Since John has already listed them as one motion, just keep them as one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if we have it as one motion, we've already moved it, seconded, and approved it unanimously.
We have.
I'm sorry. Who was the second? I only heard one motion by John. Could you tell me who the second is?
I didn't hear a second.
Are we referring to something of
Oh, that's
her?
right. We were discussing it. Were we discussing it?
We were.
Do you want to deal
We have
over on
not
this?
voted, Dan.
We have not voted, Dan.
We have not.
Okay.
We have not voted on this, Dan. You need to call for a vote. I am the
Okay.
second.
Well,
you're the second.
We have a motion
I
by
am the
Director
second.
Carter. We have a second by Director Degerstrom. You're shaking your head no.
We have a motion by Director John St. Dennis, and we have a second by Natalie Degerstrom.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion by Director St. Dennis, a second by Director Degerstrom to approve these changes and addition of a new appendix to the Laurel Queen of Arms handbook. Any final comments on this?
Yes, I'd like to rise to a question of personal privilege and just hear back the motion one more time from our executive assistant to make sure that we've got it right.
Okay, what I understand the motion to be is a motion by John St. Dennis to approve the changes to SENA and the addition of Appendix N as presented by the Laurel Principal Queen of Arms. Is that correct?
Yes, that is what I said.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, other discussion? If we can, we're about to go for a vote here, so going once, going twice. All right, I'm calling for a vote on this motion. All those in favor? 6. Any opposed? Abstentions? Seeing none, motion carries. Okay, so in the future, if someone from the Laurel Queen of Arms is listening, probably list these in the report as handbook changes. I believe that's what we had discussed in the past for this. Okay, I know the Heralds have a series of documents they work with, but these documents together form the handbook for the Laurel Queen of Arms for the Heralds. Okay, let's move on to 6F, the Society Marshal. Ray, I think that is you and Alfred.
Apparently we're boring Alfred, so he ran off.
Oh, man.
Thank you, Chairman. Let me present my report. Requested board actions are none. Policy interpretations are none. New policies, none. Got a handful of commendations here, which I'm going to mangle names. I'm sorry in advance. The Society Marshal would like to commend all the marshals in the Society in these difficult times. Thank you for those who have continued to run their offices. With the BoD's announcement for reopening, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. The Deputy Society Marshal for Equestrian Activities would like to commend Master Thomas Flamak of Kelsel from Dragonball, the Honorable Lady Sarah Grace Knopf from Atenveld, and Lady Sigrid Ross Ulfhield and Lady Isabel Cordera from Artemisia for their hard work and extended efforts to restart equestrian activities in their kingdoms. Their perseverance and willingness to step up has kept this special aspect of the dream alive. Perseverance, excuse me. The Deputy Society Marshal for Rapier Combat states that there have been several gentles who are approaching the reopening as an opportunity to perhaps do things better based on what we have had before the shutdown. These efforts are to be commended. The Deputy Society Marshal for Combat Archery would like to commend the Honorable Lord John Percy for bringing the APD issue to her attention. The Deputy Society Marshal for Armored Combat with Rebated Steel would like to thank the following people for their work in moving the Rebated Steel program forward in their kingdoms, from Aethelmark, Duke Malcolm, East, Brian of Stonemarch, Trimaris, Baron Gavin McFergus. The Deputy Society Marshal for Target Archery and Thrown Weapons would like to thank all the Kingdom officers who took the time to file reports, even though not much has happened, and who have taken initiative in these troubled times to look to different avenues to promote our martial arts. I would also like to point out and commend the many Kingdom deputies who have extended their terms of service and striven to push their arts forward in these troubled times until there can be competent replacements found. I would especially like to send accolades to the Honorable Lord Matteo Genovese of the East for organizing and hosting a series of inter-kingdom webinars and roundtables for thrown weapons. I would also like to give a hats off to Master Antonio de Luna for 4 years of service to the Kingdom of Aethelmark's thrown weapons community. I would also like to commend Paul Stoddard for being instrumental in supplying the Kingdom of Caid with archery ranking medallions. The Deputy Society Marshal for Youth Combat would like to commend the following: in Ostiora, Red, and Zena in the Coastal Division have kept the interest going using virtual classes and much more. And Alan has been fantastic with youth rapier growth. And Avacol Sir Kira received special recognition for help with her with youth martial classes, while in Aethelmark, Mathis is doing an incredible job and also producing youth combat how-to videos. Vander has recently assumed the office in Eldemir, and we're looking forward to his ideas coming to fruition, while my lady ECAT is working miracles on planning with our Kingdom Marshal for Pennsic virtually, so that all of our youth combat fairs worldwide will have the opportunity to join in. Let's see, the publishable summary: due to ongoing pandemic and the society-wide memorandum on in-person events, martial activities has largely remained on hold for Q1. Some groups have begun allowing practice on a small scale as per their kingdom and local government policies allow. Fighters are using this time to work on their gear, find creative online solutions for training and instruction. Everyone is waiting on activities start opening back up and are beginning to plan how to safely resume activities once allowed to do so. That concludes my report, unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Ray? All right, thank you very much, Ray.
Thank you.
Where are we? We are at the Minister of Arts and Sciences report. Director Regner, is that you?
Yes, Chairman, it is. I will go ahead and proceed to read it on behalf of Richard Lamons. He has no requested board actions at this time. In his policy interpretation, he asks for some help clarifying some things that he's run into during the dispensation of his duties. that the president and I will need to get in touch with him about, but it's not a true policy interpretation that needs upholding by the board. He's continuing to work on his handbook, but does not have it ready to submit yet. And he has several commendations. First, he would like to thank and offer commendations to all the Kingdom Arts and Sciences officers for really stepping up to the plate and throwing themselves into the virtual world of arts and sciences. They continue to amaze him with their fortitude. He would also like to commend Laurencia Ingen O'Nallen for her online work in the Honorable Clover. Congratulations to the two new Arts and Sciences champions for Athelmark, Lord Connacht MacAnley and Lady Ilaria Rosati. The staff of Atlantean University continue to lead the way in how virtual events can be successful and are highly deserving of commendation. He'd like to especially thank the Chancellor Adriana Le Breton. She has been a joy to work with and really came through for the Known World Sciences Symposium. Locax A&S Journal, the Cockatrice won a Master William Blackwood Award for Best Special Interest Newsletter. Congratulations to their editor, Lord Bjorn Shamunderson, who has done amazing work to make the newsletter more beautiful and more accessible. Mistress Caristiona of Meridies is hosting the Great Meridian Bake Off competition, where each week they research and bake a different category of baked goods. The event is very popular. I will personally add that it has probably added at least 1,100 pounds to the net weight of the Meridian Knights, myself included. Countess Thorkatla of Meridies did a spectacular job hosting a live cooked pasta with me at a recent Meridian homecoming social. And last but not least, the Rum Chancellor of the Mid-Realm, the Honorable Lord Oswin of Bathan, has been doing an amazing job of handling an ongoing rum online. That's pretty much it. I'll say that that's my summary of his report. It's quite in-depth and goes into great detail of individual kingdoms and everything. As usual, I'll commend Richard for his lengthy report and recommend anybody that wants to read further to look it up. Thank you.
Nothing there for 2 meals.
Okay.
Thank you, Director Richter. We're getting some crosstalk. Is everyone muted that is that needs to be muted? Okay, that's got it. Okay, so that concludes the office reports. We have a number of standing committees. We have no report from the Finance Committee, no report from the Peerage Committee, although I'm going to come back to that in just a second, just to provide a little updated information on that. No report from the Communications Committee. We have a report from the Census Committee, the business of which we dealt with up in the old business. So I'm not going to go over that again here. And then social media. No specific report for the social media, although they did submit the new social media policy under that was old business, I believe, and I can't remember where that was now, and that was approved also. Just for the Peerage Committee report, many of you who have been paying attention, last quarterly meeting we had, or the last quarterly meeting we had a proposal by the Peerage Committee. We were preparing to release it, and we are still ready to release this. We spent quite a bit of time on the announcement for this so that we could get out the proposal from the Peerage Committee to the participants, and so that they could see what was there, provide commentary on it. We put that on the back burner for just a few weeks while we dealt with a couple of other issues, namely the changes to the corporate office, as well as the discussion on the lifting of the suspension on in-person events for the SCA. These really took precedence. We had to work on those. But we should see those, we should see that peerage proposal coming out within the next week to 2 weeks. Just want to make sure that everything's fine before we send it out. It's an interesting proposal. The Peerage Committee has been working on a couple of years. I mean, the proposal and providing background and getting information for it and providing it to the board. The board feels it's ready to release to the members and the participants for their commentary on it. I will say, as we say in the statement, also it's important to note that this is a proposal from the Peerage Committee. The board has reviewed it, thinks it's ready to go out, but you know, nothing is set in stone on this when you see it. But we understand that there's going to be a lot of discussion generated from this. I believe we have a town hall that is planned to discuss it. But you should take a look at it when it comes out and look at it with an open mind and understand that we truly are looking for commentary on this. We want to see what the thoughts of the society are in general before we move forward with anything like this. So that is coming out. It should be coming out in the next week or week to 2 weeks. Anything else that we need to talk about in terms of the committees? Okay, well that concludes the section 6 on reports. Section 7, correspondence. I don't see anything under correspondence.
It's been distributed, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Executive session. Leslie?
Mr. Chairman, I'll present your minutes from your executive session.
Thank you.
The executive session was opened on Saturday, April 17th, 2021 at 3:03 p.m. Central Time and adjourned on Saturday, April 17th at 5:22 p.m. Central Time. Jay Handel. Motion by Craig Carter to uphold the temporary removal from participation in the Society of Jay Handel as issued by Kristen and Helene, Crown of the Kingdom of Ontario and their Kingdom Seneschal on February 16th, 2021, to extend the temporary removal from participation and to further direct the Society Seneschal to begin an investigation into possible sanctions up to and including revocation of membership and denial of participation. Seconded by John St. Dennis, opposed none, motion carried. Michael McDade. Motion by Gigi Colson to revoke the membership of and deny participation to Michael McDade, effective immediately. Second by Natalie Degerstrom, opposed none, motion carried. John Keller. Motion by Ross Faulkner to revoke the membership of and deny participation to John Keller, effective immediately. Second by John St. Dennis, opposed none, motion carried. Guy Butler. Motion by Greg Carter to revoke the membership of and deny participation to Guy Butler, effective immediately. Second by Gigi Colson, opposed none, motion carried. Jonathan Blaine. Motion by Gigi Colson to revoke the membership of and deny participation to Jonathan Blaine, effective immediately. Second by Jennifer Krochmal, opposed none, motion carried. Rocky Rendon. Motion by Gigi Colson to uphold the expulsion from the Society of Rocky Rendon as issued by Agrippa and Dawood, Crown of the Kingdom of Kaid and their Kingdom Seneschal on September 18th, 2018. Second by John St. Dennis. Motion by Jennifer Krochmal to amend the previous motion to read. Motion to uphold the expulsion from the Society of Rocky Rendon as issued by Agrippa and Dawood, Crown of the Kingdom of Kaid and their Kingdom Seneschal on September 18th, 2018, and to further direct the Society Seneschal to provide notice to Mr. Rendon that the matter of his revocation of membership and denial of participation will be taken into consideration on June 1st, 2021 at the conference call meeting. I'll need to amend that because my understanding is that date may need to be changed. I'll do that as soon as the date is decided on. Second by John St. Dennis, opposed none, motion carried. James Stowe. Motion by Craig Carter to uphold the expulsion from the Society of James Stowe as issued by Gareth and Lalian, Crown of the Kingdom of Glenavon and their Kingdom Seneschal on October 26, 2018. Second by Gigi Colson, opposed none, motion carried. Stephen Gunther. By consensus, the board declined to hear the appeal of Stephen Gunther. The April 18, 2021 subsidiary minutes, action by written consent. By consensus, all actions for the subsidiaries of the Society for Creative Anachronism Incorporated are accepted by written consent. Director resignation, John St. Dennis. By consensus, the resignation of John St. Dennis as a member of the Board of Directors for the Society for Creative Anachronism is accepted as of the close of the April 18th, 2021 quarterly meeting. Director appointment, Dale Fong Fredericks. By consensus, the appointment of Dale Fong Fredericks, as a member of the Board of Directors for the Society for Creative Anachronism is accepted as of the close of the April 18, 2021 quarterly meeting. Chairman assignment, by consensus, no action was taken. Vice Chairman assignment, by consensus, no action was taken. Excuse me a second, I'm getting dry. Ombudsman assignments, by consensus, the following assignments will be considered effective at the close of the January 24th, the April 18th, 2021 quarterly meeting. Hold on just a second for me, please. Sorry about that. Chairman Dan Watson, Ombudsman for President, Society Seneschal, Corporate Office, Executive Assistant, Financial Officers, Financial Committee, Peerage Committee. Vice Chairman Natalie Dagerstrom, Ombudsman for Atlantia, Meridies, Middle, Marshall, Membership Committee, we'll take care of that, and Board Recruiting. Director Craig Carter, Ombudsman for the Heralds, East, Kaid, West, and the Census Committee, which I understand, was that supposed to be moved back to Dan?
Yes, it was.
All right, my apologies. Let's fix that. Okay.
What?
Okay. Bear with me just a second. Director G.G. Colson, Ombudsman for Ethelmark, Avacall, Dragonbald, Eldemir, Locock, DEI, and the Social Media Committee. Dale Fong Frederick, Ombudsman for Ontario, Anstior, Glenavon, and Trimaris. Jennifer Crockmall, Ombudsman for Callantyre, North Shield, Outlands Communications Committee, Information Technology. Ross Rogner, Ombudsman for Artemisia, Aidenbelt, A&S Publications. And your Director Select for CE is currently open. And that ends your executive session minutes.
Thank you, Leslie. We're going to have a couple more items of business, just one or two more items of business here. As we're doing that, I would like to note that as of this point, there are no questions in the chat that have not been answered. And so you've got a very limited amount of time to put more questions in there if you'd like to do so. Otherwise, we will conclude the meeting and not return after that. So last chance, I'm going to call for these. So now we're going to move to last couple of things that we have. First, I just want to thank everyone that helped put this meeting together, the directors, the kingdom officers, other people that have worked on this and helped with this in order to get this up and running. Of course, all the members and participants that are out there that have spent part of their Sunday watching us do the business of the society. I want to thank everyone for being here and being part of this. It is an important thing that we do, both to take care of the business side of the SCA as well as to provide as much transparency as we can. Of course, we're getting better at that, and we're working on that to the people that are out there so they can see how their society works. I would like to welcome Dale Fong Frederick, who is our new director as of the end of this meeting. Dale, welcome aboard. You've done a fantastic job sort of getting onboarded and learning about what we're doing and becoming a part of that. And I congratulate you, welcome you, and I look forward very much to working with you over the time that I have left on the board. And for those of you that are unaware, we have 7 directors, and each director has a 3.5-year term in their seat on the board, which means that every 6 months we both gain a new director as well as we say goodbye to a director. And today we are saying goodbye to John St. Dennis, who has been an incredible force. John spoke about some of the things that you have done and have meant for us in his report. And I would like to add to that you've been an incredible mentor to me. I have looked to you to see how directors should act, how they should be working, how they should bring things to the attention of the board and do the business of the society. And I really commend you for your professionalism, for bringing the work, the ideas that you have of project management, as well as just the incredible experience that you have had in the society, bringing that to the board and making it part of running this organization. We are in your debt for doing this, and we are really, really, really going to miss you. I watched you for 2.5 years be the vice chair for this, and part of the vice chair's responsibilities are running the planning session that we have before meetings. This is a really incredible meeting that we have, and it can easily get out of control. And you have managed to keep us all on track and moving together in a direction that benefits the society. So we are going to miss you very, very much, and we thank you. I'm sure the rest of the board would like to join me in thanking you for your incredible, dedicated work on this board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And I believe you have some comments, and I'm going to pass the gavel to you, and so the rest of the meeting is yours.
So, okay, you made the mistake of giving an actor a stage. Sorry about that. Over the past 3.5 years, I've worked with some truly wonderful and dedicated people who care deeply for our organization, both as members of the board and as corporate officers. In retrospect, what has been accomplished by the board members I have served with, both past and current, is remarkable. I am proud of the role I played along with others for, and in no particular order, the hate speech policy and its corpora revision, the sexual harassment policy, bullying and harassment policy, introduction of the DEI officer and program, the finalization of Inspiration of Equality, which was very dear to me, increasing communications to the membership, and 2 years as vice chairman working with chairmans Richard Sherman first, and then Craig Carter. The pandemic brought its own set of challenges, and everyone involved worked long hours to protect the organization and its members in unprecedented times. To the officers I have worked with, thank you for your help and guidance over the years. In particular, thanks go to Renee Signorati, Leslie Luther Fulton, John Fulton, and Patrick Anderson. To the membership, please remember that your board of directors and corporate officers all have careers, they have families and lives outside the organization. The expressions of thanks received along the way stand out against the complaints. For me, they have made it possible to sit through endless hours of meetings and read reams of reports. Thank you for the kind words you have sent over the years. The board of directors I leave behind finds an organization with significant challenges ahead. Our membership is at a frightening low level and may take a decade to recover. A key officer is retiring and will leave a hole both in our organization and how the board itself conducts business. There is also opportunity here. The need to rebuild the membership gives the SCA the opportunity to focus those rebuilding efforts at creating a more inclusive organization. That will encourage regrowth, and there will be a need to be agile as you face the challenges of reopening and adjusting the corporate office to a smaller footprint and a new staff. I have made wonderful friends while on the board, and spent hours in serious debates about the future of an organization that has played a major role in my life for 44 years. In the end, I hope that I have done more good than ill. Best wishes, everybody. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn this April 18th, 2021 quarterly meeting of the SCA Board of Directors.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
There being no further business before the Board of Directors, adieu, everybody.